Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Fiona G.
And I'm Carrie Dunst.
President-elect Trump meets with President Biden at the White House, what they're promising as the nation now prepares for their transition.
And NTD's Jack Bradley brings us more from the White House.
Senate Republicans elect John Thune to lead the upper chamber next year. The South Dakota senator will succeed Mitch McConnell, the longest-serving party leader in Senate history.
As Trump continues to announce new members of his administration and prepares for his second term, we'll have a forecast of what to look out for next.
Trump names Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead the new Department of Government Efficiency to root out wasteful spending and non-transparency. We'll speak with an expert on that topic.
Could Elon Musk emerge as the next Henry Kissinger and ease the tensions between the U.S. and China through his access to Trump? Beijing keeping a close eye on the billionaire's role.
Ukraine is receiving another $1.3 billion grant from the U.S. What Secretary of State Antony Blinken says about allocating funds before President-elect Trump returns to office.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
President-elect Donald Trump is back at the White House, his first time since he left office in 2021.
That's right, and President Biden hosted Trump, promising a smooth transition of administrations. And now NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley is at the White House. Jack, good afternoon. Tell us what came out of their meeting.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Well, it was anything but long. It was a very short in-person meeting, at least in front of the press. Also very cordial and good-hearted. We could see them exchange some smiles, laughs in front of. So all of this tension that had been building up throughout the presidential campaign seemed to ease, at least in front of the cameras. They talked about discussing a smooth transition of powers from one administration to the next. Take a look.
Mr. President-elect and the former president,
thank you.
Donald, congratulations.
Thank you.
And looking forward to having a, like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. We're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
Good.
Welcome
Thank you.
back.
And, thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much a transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Joe.
You're welcome.
Now, they went on to discuss a lot more behind closed doors, apparently, because they were in there for over an hour or two while hundreds of press journalists had gathered outside of the Oval Office waiting for Trump to come out. Unfortunately, he did not remark to the public. But we do know that National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said in a recent interview on CBS that President Biden would urge Trump not to abandon Ukraine. Now, Trump has, at his rallies, has over and over again repeated that he would get that war with Russia finished as soon as possible. As far as today, this was the first time the two leaders met since back in June when they had their fiery debate, and President-elect Donald Trump and now President Biden had exchanged a lot of remarks that were unlike what we heard today. Now, today, First Lady Joe Biden gave Trump a letter to congratulate Melania and offer a smooth transition of power. Now, Trump met with congressional Republicans on Capitol Hill right before this, and Trump will take the helm on January 20th. Back to you.
Jack Bradley reporting from the White House there. Keep us updated. Thank you. And Senate Republicans have elected John Thune to lead the upper chamber next year.
That's right. The South Dakota senator will succeed 82-year-old Mitch McConnell, the longest-serving party leader in Senate history.
Republicans will control the White House and potentially both chambers of Congress next year. The GOP holds 53 seats in the Senate and are on track to retain their majority in the House of Representatives.
Thune prevailed over Senator John Cornyn of Texas and Senator Rick Scott of Florida. The four-term senator from South Dakota currently serves as the chamber's number 2 Republican.
It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in America. The American people have loudly rejected the failed policies of the Biden, Harris, Schumer agenda. And this Republican team is united We are on one team. We are excited to reclaim the majority and to get to work with our colleagues in the House to enact President Trump's agenda. We have a mandate from the American people, a mandate not only to clean up the mess left by the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda, but also to deliver on President Trump's priorities. We will make sure that the President and his team have the tools and the support that they need to enforce border security laws and to remove the violent criminals who are wreaking havoc in every one of our states. We will work to make America prosperous again by streamlining the bureaucratic machine and overturning costly Biden-Harris regulations. And we will work to restore American energy dominance. Not just our energy security, but energy dominance, which will lower costs and bolster our national security. I'm excited to get to work with this team right away, and I want to thank my colleagues who placed their faith in me to serve as leader, and to those who were supporting another candidate. I promise to be a leader who serves the...
And now White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan are holding a media briefing. Let's tune into that.
For the resources and the strategy for Ukraine. So from our perspective, we would like to see that continue. Now, obviously, we don't know what the incoming team is going to do, how divergent they will be. Those will be decisions they take, not for me to comment on. All I can say is that when it comes to investing in our alliances, the sources of strength at home, the protections of our advanced technologies, these are things we're going to advocate continue because we think that they are not political issues, they're American issues that can serve all of the people of this country. Yeah.
Will the president raise this alleged hack by a Chinese hacking group when he meets with President Xi? And are you planning any kind of consequences for that hack?
It is a significant issue. I expect that the FBI and CISA will have an update in terms of their investigation, which is ongoing, into the hack soon. We here at the White House have stood up at the NSC, what's called a UCG, a Unified Coordinating Group, in order to coordinate the entire U.S. government to be able to deal with this hack, which is a hack of private telecommunications providers, but private telecommunications providers that provide services to U.S. government personnel, among others. So you will hear from the FBI and CISA on that. I do expect this will come up in the meeting in Peru. And I'm not going to speak to consequences from this podium. I will only say that we have made clear over time that we will respond when we see actions taken in terms of cyber attacks, cyber espionage, cyber intrusions. That has been a feature of our policy to date. It will remain a feature of our policy going forward. I'll take just a couple more and then let Karine take over. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jake. Can you give us a sense of what else President Biden said to President Trump about Russia in their meeting? And also, with regard to China, will he pass on any tips or color from his meeting with President Trump to President Xi when they meet? And what will his message be to President Xi?
I've already mildly violated the not reading out the meeting proviso, so I will pass that off to Karine. Mild violations. But with respect to his meeting with President Xi, I don't expect him to pass messages. Obviously, President Trump, when he comes into office, will have his opportunity to engage directly with President Xi. But I will observe that transitions are uniquely consequential moments in geopolitics. They're a time when competitors and adversaries can see possibly opportunity because you have this change in government here. And so part of what President Biden will communicate is that we need to maintain stability, clarity, predictability through this transition between the United States and China. And he will also really reinforce the point that in order for us to manage this competition responsibly going forward, we have to sustain over the long term the channels of communication at every level, particularly the military to military level. And then, of course, he will look to try to consolidate progress on areas where we can work together, for example, on counter-narcotics and fentanyl coordination, and on trying to manage the safety risks associated with artificial intelligence. So it's an important meeting. It will not be just a valedictory, although there will be an element of reflecting over the course of their long relationship. There is actual work to do in this critical moment between the U.S. and China to ensure that we don't run into any problems in the next 2 months in this transition of power. Last question.
Can you just sort of explain the strategy for the remaining drawdown authority for Ukraine, and also if the administration is going to ask for any additional drawdown authority in like an end of the year CR or spending plan?
So the president has made clear, and he has directed his team to ensure that every dollar that the Congress gave to him, authorized him to spend, he will spend on behalf of Ukraine before he leaves office. Now, again, these are not dollars he's putting on an airplane and flying across the ocean. These are dollars he's investing in the American defense industrial base. As we provide weapons to Ukraine, we make new weapons to give to the U.S. military. All of those dollars will be spent, will be obligated by the time he leaves office on January 20th. Therefore, it only stands to reason that in the next 2 months, the administration will signal to Congress that we would like to see additional funds for Ukraine for 2025 so that they can be in the best possible position, the strongest possible position to negotiate to ensure they achieve.
And that was National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan speaking from the podium at the White House, dealing with the transition over to Trump. Took questions from the press, mostly about China, but some other aspects as well.
That's right, and very important to note there that he emphasizes the importance of maintaining stability as we transition. Now, Karine Jean-Pierre is going to come on after him, but we will be cutting away from that for now, and we will be inviting our next guest onto the show. We're going to keep talking about the transition of power and the latest updates from the White House. Joining us live is Reagan Reese, White House correspondent at the Daily Caller. Reagan, good afternoon. Good to see you again. Let's start off with this latest news from the Senate. John Thune has been elected for the leadership position. Now, what does his election mean for the Republican agenda?
Yeah, I think you showed an image of him addressing his supporters and talking about the vote right after they got the results. And behind him are two, MAGA loyalists, Tim Scott and Tom Cotton. And I think that tells us all we need to know about concerns maybe that the Republican agenda, the MAGA agenda, isn't going to be a sole focus of the Senate. Those are two really strong Trump allies showing their support for him right after that vote. There was a lot of talk about Rick Scott kind of pulling away with it. He was an underdog. He was kind of campaigning on that MAGA agenda. He wanted to, he's a good Trump ally. But I think right there, that image, them coming by his side and showing their support after that vote, that, regardless of what drama there was going on behind the scenes, that he is going to focus on the president's priorities and what's best for the country.
Certainly a very busy day in Washington, D.C. today. Trump and Biden, of course, as we saw earlier in our reporting today, met as well. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it lasted 2 hours. Karine Jean-Pierre just said this from the White House briefing room. And they talked, for a long time, they talked with both of their chief of staff. So Trump's respective Susie Wiles and Joe Biden's Jeff Zients. And all the four of them discussed what seems to have been about the Middle East and Ukraine. This is reporting coming out of the New York Post. Donald Trump said they talked a lot about foreign policy in that meeting. That it was a really, really good and productive meeting. Again, they spoke for 2 hours. We know that Donald Trump loves to talk. And so there was a lot of press, as your correspondent said. There were more press than I've ever seen in the White House there before, trying to get a glimpse of the president, trying to get a question in, but neither of them took questions today. So, there's going to be a lot of questions about that meeting that are still going to be outstanding, regardless of what Karine Jean-Pierre says at the White House lectern today.
Really historic times down there. Now, Trump, let's talk about his cabinet picks. I believe some of our viewers out there might not be too certain who exactly needs or doesn't need Senate confirmation. Break down that process for us.
Yeah, of course. So those who do need Senate confirmation are the actual cabinet picks. So that's your DHS secretary, your Department of Education secretary that hasn't been named yet. There's been speculation about the Secretary of State, whether it's going to be Marco Rubio or Rick Grenell. All of those secretaries are going to need confirmation from the Senate. Those that don't need confirmation are these more White House positions. So Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. We know that Stephen Miller is going to be coming on as Chief of Staff of Policy. he won't need Senate confirmation. There's also a border czar that Donald Trump is appointing. He will not need Senate confirmation, as that's a White House position. And it seems to me also that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will not need Senate confirmation as well. They will be running this Department of Government Efficiency, which from the information that President Trump told us yesterday is, this new department, it's going to be outside of the government, going to be more of like a project, an initiative that they're going to be running on the side. So it seems to me that they're not going to need Senate confirmation as well.
Great breakdown, Reagan. Now, with Republicans holding the majority in the Senate, do you see any of these Senate confirmation processes going through easily for Trump? Or do you see any sort of disagreement or pushback happening?
So I've seen a lot of talk of this on Twitter, and I think that the president is going to have a relatively easy time getting a lot of his picks through the Senate. So much so that I've seen a lot of confirmation and reports that people are kind of pushing President Trump to put RFK Jr. in a position that would need Senate confirmation. I'm not sure what that position would be because they are confident in the Senate majority and the leadership there that they will be able to maybe nudge him through as well. Right now, I think that the toughest is going to be Trump's Secretary of Defense. We've seen a lot of talk of that last night. Peter, he is formerly, his most recent gig was being a Fox News host, but he served 2 decades in the military, did multiple tours, has extensive military experience. And so there's a lot of talk of people just calling him this Fox News host and disregarding all of that military experience he has. And so for that reason, people have been talking about him being a difficult one to confirm. But I think once you look at his resume and his expertise, that he is actually going to go through quite easily.
And of course, you mentioned as well Musk and Ramaswamy. They'll be heading that new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, if you will. Now, this is unfamiliar territory, right? We've never had a department like this. How are people on the Hill reacting?
Well, last night was Donald Trump really just bombarded people with the unexpected, with the surprises. And so along with this Secretary of Defense pick and also picking Kristi Noem as DHS Secretary, Donald Trump also announced that he's going to be establishing a new Department of Government Efficiency, and it's going to be run by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, both who have really rose to prominence and made themselves close friends of the GOP in this last year, in this 2024 campaign. And so, I think a lot of people are reacting. They're a little worried about the change. They are saying this is not how things usually go in the government. But that's why people really like Donald Trump. They like Donald Trump because he's not going to do what the establishment wants him to do. He doesn't act within the reins of the federal government. He decides to shake things up and drain the swamp. And so, of course, we're going to see a lot of anxiety to these picks of putting, Elon Musk and Vivek in charge of this newly established department. But it's important to remember that this is exactly what Donald Trump's base voted him into office to do.
Yeah, clearly an election cycle with a lot that was not exactly within the norm. Now, before we go, Reagan, give us a forecast. What's up next that you think we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, definitely. I think that tonight we might be getting an attorney general pick. I have it from a good source that might be coming tonight. And it does seem like Attorney General Andrew Bailey is that front runner for this pick. And there's been a bunch of names being flown around for Attorney General. And so that is the pick that I would say look out for tonight. Another issue that's near and dear to my heart is education. We still have not gotten a pick on education. And I've heard from some people who don't believe to be in the running, have not gotten that call from the Trump team. And so definitely be on the lookout for that, because I think when that one happens, it's going to happen very quickly.
Well, Reagan Reese, White House correspondent at the Daily Caller. There is so much more to look out for. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
And coming up, the Supreme Court is set to hear arguments over a securities fraud lawsuit against NVIDIA. Plaintiffs accuse the tech company of misleading investors.
And a homeschooling boom is changing education in the U.S. Hear from a Scottish mom in Texas on how it transformed her family life after this break.
Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024, the Audion Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation, and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-433-6359 or go to audionhearing.com to get your pair of Audion hearing aids starting at just $189.
Hi, I'm Susan Lucci. I never thought about heart disease until I had my own heart event. I had heard many times that heart disease is the #1 killer. It went in one ear and out the other, frankly. I never had a health issue. I felt this slight pressure on my chest, just slight. But a few days later, while shopping at a boutique, that pressure returned, much stronger. By the time I got to the ER, the doctor decided to give me a CAT scan. He said, "I don't think you understand. You are on the verge of a heart attack." I had a 90% blockage in my main artery and a 75% blockage in the adjacent artery. I received 2 stents in my arteries, stents developed through research funded by the American Heart Association. Those stents saved my life. That's why I'm in front of you today, asking you to join me in supporting the American Heart Association by becoming a monthly donor. Call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, your support now can help save your life or the life of someone you love. With you by our side, together we'll keep fighting this battle. Give $19 a month with your credit card, and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can wear to show that you are helping save lives. I'm so grateful to the American Heart Association. Their research helped save my life. Put yourself on your to-do list. It could be the most important thing you ever do. Please, listen to your heart. The only reason I'm here today is because I did. So please call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org now. Join me as a monthly donor today and help save even more lives. Thank you.
Welcome back. We're going to tune back into Washington, D.C. right now, where White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre is now talking about the transition to the Trump administration.
But you also heard from her last week when she talked about the importance as well of having a peaceful transition of power. So leave that to her to answer. Go ahead.
Just to work out a few of the details. So it was the 4 of them in that room, the president, the president-elect, chief of staff, the chief of staff designate.
Yes, sir.
Were the 2 presidents ever left alone in the room?
I don't have anything beyond what I shared. What I can say is it happened for approximately 2 hours. It included the current chief of staff, the incoming chief of staff, and obviously the 2 presidents. I can't speak if the presidents had the presidents themselves, President-elect and President Biden had an opportunity to speak privately. I can't spek to that. I didn't ask.
Over in the diplomatic room, right?
Right. So to your point, you are correct. We sent out a pool note about how the President Biden, and also First Lady Dr. Biden greeted President-elect Trump upon his arrival, and just to add a little bit of color there, she gave the President-elect a handwritten letter to congratulate Mrs. Trump, and so also expressed their readiness to be involved and engaged with her team, Mrs. Trump's team, and so that specific piece, obviously, I would direct to the First Lady's office. But yes, they first met and greeted each other in the diplomatic room.
But
Jake or nobody else came in, or
It was just the four. It was just the four of them, as far as who was in the room with the president.
And it was in the Oval the whole time.
As far, yes, it was in the Oval. The Oval meeting was in the Oval, as I just stated, and you flagged for me that they greeted the president. They, meaning the First Lady, and also the President Biden greeted President-elect Trump when he arrived.
I have one other question about this weekend that people might wonder.
Yeah.
It's their third meeting since President Biden took office, but why bother having a meeting with Chinese President Xi if there's only 68 days left to go on the Biden?
I think, look, this is, Joe Biden. He understands the importance of having face-to-face, one-on-one conversations with world leaders. And I think Jake did a pretty good job laying out what's next, what they are thinking about, the reason for having the bilat. But it is an opportunity. They're both going to be in Peru. They're both going to be attending the APEC conference. It was an opportunity for them to meet. I think it's important. The issues that they're obviously going to speak about are important to the American people. As you think about national security, you think about Indo-Pacific. And so, I think this is very much something that the president would do, have that face-to-face, have those in-person conversations with other world leaders on issues that matter here to us and obviously globally. Okay, Peter.
Thanks, Green. Did President Biden show incoming President Trump anything classified?
No.
No. Why not?
Why would he? This was an opportunity for them to speak candidly, openly. I've said to you that it was gracious, it was incredibly substantive, and I'll just leave it there.
The last time these two were together in the same room was at the debate. They talked a fair amount about playing golf. Do you know if a plan was made for them to play golf in President Biden's retirement?
Actually, that's not the last time they saw each other. They saw each other at September 11th. I'm going to move on. Go ahead, Ed.
In the meeting, we saw a unified front related to a transition in the Oval Office meeting. But a lot was said on the campaign trail, like Trump is a dangerous threat to our country and our democracy. Was there an apology today?
I'm sorry?
Was there an apology from
President
Biden for the words, some of the words used?
An apology from the President Biden.
To President-elect Trump for some of the words that was used on the campaign trail.
Look, and I've answered this a couple of times about a threat to democracy in the past week. The president is going to always feel obligated to be honest with the American people. What he says still stands. And it's not just him. You heard this from former staffers. You've heard it from the former chief of staff, John Kelly, and others. You've heard it directly from the president-elect, the former president, about enemy of the people. Very, very clear. Very clear. What we want to be also very clear about is the importance of listening to the will of the American people. There was an election. It is important to respect our institution. It is important to respect the free and fair elections. And that's what this president is doing, leading by example and putting that aside and putting the American people first. But what he said still stands. And it's not just him. We should not just put this at the president. His own people said this. So I want to be really, really clear about that and not forget the facts. There are facts here that we should certainly also lift up as you're asking me these questions. Go ahead, Anita.
Thank you. Did the two presidents discuss transatlantic security or climate change efforts and the U.S. role in that? And relatedly, what is President Biden's message to G20 leaders on these two issues and on the institutions and frameworks that hold them up? I'm talking about NATO and the Paris Agreement.
Yeah, so look, obviously they talked about national security issues, mentioned that already. There was a substantive, pretty detailed set of questions that the president-elect presented the President Biden with. They went back and forth on that. I don't have anything. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, into the specifics of what those topics were. not something that I'm going to do from here. And look, the president is looking forward to going to the G20. You heard Jake do a pretty good laydown of the importance of the president going. It will be his last G20. Obviously, he's also going to go to APEC. APEC will be first. And the importance of meeting with these world leaders on issues and matters that are important to the American people. That's what you're going to see. This is going to be a continuation of the progress that we have made in almost 4 years on the world stage. Whether it's talking about Ukraine and continue to support Ukraine, talking about Indo-Pacific, talking about the Middle East and how to move forward here. And so all of those issues and topics are certainly going to come up, and the president looks forward to having those conversations.
That we know that President-elect Trump does not look favorably upon NATO or upon the Paris climate change agreement.
That's something for the president-elect to speak to. I mean, he has. What we have done here in the past 4 years is strengthen NATO. What we have done here is making sure that we strengthen our relationship with allies and partners. What we have done here is put the American people first, put our national security first, and really have conversation with world leaders on shared priorities. And so that's going to continue in the next 68 days. And that's the progress that the president wants to continue to have conversations about, and that's what you're going to see on this next Oconus trip.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you. I think in this room we've all watched the very somber speeches that the president gave on democracy in Philadelphia at the Capitol, and today we see these pictures of two leaders chatting around a fireplace. There's a stark contrast here, and isn't there a risk that in the future, when voters are faced with, warnings about democracy, they're just going to dismiss them and think this is just campaign stuff, this is just political?
I think there are two different things here. When it comes to what the president said in the past year, even more so about our democracy, the importance of our democracy, let's not forget, we saw that Americans do care about democracy. They care about protecting our freedoms. That is something that the president's never going to shy away from. He's never going to shy away talking about that. And it is important on how we move forward.
And that was Karine Jean-Pierre at the podium at the White House.
Yep, and she's still talking, but we will be cutting away for a quick break. Up next, Trump names Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead the new Department of Government Efficiency, which will root out wasteful spending and non-transparency. We'll speak with an expert on the topic after this break.
Hey everyone, it's me, Sebastian, and it is a beautiful day today. We have so much to be grateful for, so just remember, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. I just love inspiring people to be the best they can be, and the reason I'm able to inspire so many people is because people like you who inspire me with your support of Shriners Hospitals for Children. Since I was little, I've broken 100 bones, and I've had 19 surgeries. Shriners Hospitals for Children was with me every step of the way. But more than that, they've given me the confidence to know I can do whatever I set my mind to. Like right now, I've set my mind to sharing my smile with you. Did you get it?
Because of people like you, I can play the violin.
I can play piano.
I can understand.
The help I get is only possible because of caring people like you who pick up the phone and call the number on your screen to make your monthly gift.
And when you call or go online right now to donate $19 a month or more, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of all the smiles you're bringing to kids' faces every day.
Kids like me. And me. And me. And me. So what are you waiting for? You can inspire kids like me by visiting loveshriners.org. After all, you can't help everyone, but you can help someone. So let's go! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving. Join me and bring a smile to the world with your monthly gift today.
Please call now. If operators are busy, please call again or go to loveshriners.org right away.
Join me and bring a smile to the world
At NativePath, we're driven to improve the lives of people by providing highly effective supplements that solve common health problems and support optimal health. This is what being on the path is all about.
Visit getnativepath.com/NTD for your special offer.
Get store-wide savings at Mathis Home with Black Friday deals all month long. We have all the latest styles with hundreds of sofas starting at just $3.99. Dining sets and bedrooms at the lowest prices ever, and we're the only place with top-name recliners starting at just $195. It's all in stock, so you get it faster with our free delivery. So for the latest in fashion for your home at the best value, shop Black Friday deals at California's furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Be your own hero.
Welcome back. Staying with the topic of Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, or the DOGE, we bring on John Hart, CEO of nonprofit government watchdog Open the Books. John, welcome to Newsroom.
Yeah, it's great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So your organization has filed tens of thousands of Freedom of Information requests to bring a spotlight on government spending and transparency. Before we get into the mandate of the new Department of Government Efficiency, can you share with our audience more about the problem and the scale of government waste and non-transparency?
Sure. Look, it's a massive problem. I think one of the key numbers that jumps out this year is that for the first time in our history, interest payments on the national debt have actually exceeded the spending we have on defense. So we're spending about $1 trillion. That's like paying interest on your credit card. That's, way above what is a safe and sustainable level. So what that does is that puts our national security at risk, and it puts our economy at risk. And what we've seen the past 4 years with the Biden administration, and really decades before that, is that overspending in Washington creates a drag effect on the economy. So it hurts working people. And one of the reasons affordability has been such a problem, and one of the reasons why President Trump just won another election, is that people are struggling to put food on the table. So the Biden approach of more spending has the opposite effect of stimulus. If you want to stimulate economic growth, you need to shift money out of Washington and put it back in the private sector and in people's pockets. That's how you get economic growth. And that's why budget savings are so important.
And as we now move to your reaction to Trump's formation of this new Department for Government Efficiency, what are your thoughts, especially coming from Open the Books and the mandate of your organization?
Well, look, we're elated. So my background is I worked for years for a senator named Tom Coburn. And back in 2006, when he was just elected, he worked with another senator named Barack Obama from Illinois to put all federal spending online for the first time in a searchable database. And that legislation helped make Open the Books possible. So for the past 15 years, we've been putting downward pressure on spending. And after the financial crisis in 2007 and 2008, Coburn was a part of the Simpson-Bowles Debt Commission. And that commission sadly didn't produce any savings, but what it did do is it made it easier for Coburn to succeed in his own budget cutting. He helped orchestrate the only earmark ban ever in history that held for a decade. He went after the bridge to nowhere and countless other earmarks. And more importantly, the downward pressure he was putting on spending led to the first year-to-year reduction in spending since the end of the Korean War. So I've seen firsthand that what really matters are not commissions, it's courage. But commissions can create the right circumstance for people of courage and principle to succeed. So my hope is that this commission, knowing that there's a deadline, it will put pressure on Congress to do its job now. So in many respects, we already have a standing deficit commission. It's called Congress, and there's nothing preventing Congress next year from cutting spending in a meaningful way.
Now let's move on to the commission itself. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, both Washington outsiders. They have very little political backgrounds. Vivek obviously ran in the primaries. Elon Musk totally outside of the Beltway. What do you make of their ability to lead this particular effort?
No, I think they'll both be fantastic at this task. I think one of the things that's valuable in Washington is anytime you have someone new come in with an outside perspective, they're going to see things that people who've studied this for years aren't going to see. I would wager that 70 to 90% of what they identify as waste, some other group like ours or some other organization has found it before. And that will only strengthen the argument that we've been making for years. But because of their stature and their reputations in business, especially Elon Musk being one of the most successful, most brilliant business people in history, that's going to put, again, enormous pressure on Congress to act. So I'm very, very hopeful. I think they'll both do an outstanding job, and they're going to support the work that we've been doing for years, and we in turn want to support their work. And another reason I think they're on the right track is they've already talked about crowdsourcing. In other words, they both have standing to be two of the smartest people in the room, but they're already asking the American people to report to them on what they're experiencing in their day-to-day interactions with government. And that's going to give their effort even more credibility and persuasive power when it comes time to make recommendations.
Yes, and Musk and Ramaswamy, both flamboyant personalities known for media stunts. You've been trying to galvanize the public interest in this topic, government waste, for some time. So how might their media-savvy personalities with almost a comic flair, do you think that will change the public perception in a way on something that, has been near to your heart for quite some time, how the federal budgets are getting actually deployed?
Sure. Well, and we use these tactics even, Coburn didn't have he wasn't as flamboyant, as you put it, as Elon Musk or Vivek, but he was very, very gifted at telling stories with his examples of spending. Again, I mentioned earmarks. We went after the earmark, the bridge to nowhere, and that was a $200 million bridge. And what Coburn tried to do is shift that money from that bridge to a bridge that had just been damaged by Hurricane Katrina. So he told a story through those examples. And so they both, Musk and Vivek, have incredible communication skills and storytelling skills. So I have no doubt that they're going to capture the imagination of the public. And again, they're going to see things that we haven't seen. We've been at this for a long time, and so have other groups as well. But they're going to bring that fresh perspective, and I'm sure they're going to come up with new examples that are just going to shock people. And shock and shame are very powerful tools in politics. And it's going to raise the question to members of, when they come back with $2 trillion of savings, it's going to put pressure on Congress to say, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you acted on this in the 10 years you've been in office, or 2 years, however long people have been in office before? So it's really going to galvanize and empower this movement.
$2 trillion in savings. Sounds like you have an amount in mind. Now, Trump is setting a milestone of July 4th, 26 for them to complete their initial mandate, likely in part to take advantage of the control of Congress before the midterms. What could be the result? You threw out a number, $2 trillion. What do you expect will come out of this 18-month project?
Sure. Well, actually, that number came from Elon Musk. He threw out $2 trillion. And it's interesting because there are two commissions that have tackled this problem in the past 40 years. I mentioned the Simpson-Bowles Commission that happened in 2010, and that helped Coburn cut spending. But before that, there was the Grace Commission that President Reagan put together. And the Grace Commission found that about 1 out of every 3 tax dollars doesn't do anything productive. Now, if you extrapolate 1 out of every $3 today, in our $6.5 trillion budget, you get to about $2 trillion. Now, you're not going to get to $2 trillion without tackling the bigger ticket items like entitlement spending. And President Trump didn't run on entitlement reform. I think this commission may change his mind on that, because he's going to realize that to get to that number, you're going to have to really actually strengthen and save Social Security and Medicare for future generations. And you do that by delivering those benefits in a different way that's more sustainable over the long haul. But again, before we even get to that deadline, what I said before, I think is really going to be the effect, is that the permanent standing deficit commission is called Congress. And this commission is going to put so much pressure on them to act, not in 2026, but next year. There's nothing preventing Congress from sending appropriations bills to the president's desk that save, let's say, 10% of the budget in federal agencies. Now, that it's not going to get you to $2 trillion, but that's going to provide real savings and real economic stimulus for the American people, because it's going to shift those dollars away from wasting money or lighting money on fire through interest payments on the debt to more productive ends that businesses can use to reinvest, families can use to buy new purchases, and so on.
Now, Musk and Ramaswamy, both certainly all-stars of the business world. What would you say to those folks who think that there might be a conflict of interest in their appointment?
Yeah, I would say that's, again, we're a transparency organization. I think Elon Musk, Vivek, I think Musk has had more subsidies than Vivek has, but they should both be 100% transparent, and we'll help them be transparent. And Elon Musk has been on the record many, many times to say that whereas a lot of corporations and very successful people, they want to use their position and success to box out competitors. And he's really done the opposite with his businesses. And so I think he's going to be eager to tell that story. I don't think he's going to be ashamed at all to talk openly and in detail about what subsidies he's received. And that will only give him more credibility. So I'm not really concerned about that at all. That's going to be an attack that people are going to level at him, but I think he's got a great response to that already.
And John, as we finish up, is it possible that state and local governments will attempt to replicate this effort?
Well, that's a great question. Actually, state and local governments have already been doing this. So, Kevin Stitt, governor of Oklahoma, is a good friend of mine. He is already on this. There are so many governors across the country who are taking their own initiative and are producing savings. And so I hope the commission that Vivek and Elon Musk, they identify the nation's governors that are already doing this work and learn from their example. Learn from the Coburn model, learn from the model of different governors all over the country that have taken waste fighting seriously. And that's only going to help their effort in the long run.
Well, we appreciate your perspectives, and I'm sure you're very excited about this new development, something you've been working on for quite some time. John Hart, CEO of nonprofit government watchdog Open the Books. Thanks again.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
And the Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on NVIDIA's bid to torpedo a securities fraud lawsuit. Plaintiffs accuse the tech company of misleading investors about how much of its sales depended on the volatile cryptocurrency market. A Stockholm-based investment management firm filed the class action suit in 2018. At issue is the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act. Congress passed the legislation in 1995 to discourage frivolous lawsuits. The question in this case is whether the plaintiffs cleared the heightened legal bar with the investment management firm. NVIDIA downplayed how much of its revenue growth came from crypto-related purchases between 2017 and 2018. NVIDIA has argued that the plaintiffs have failed to show the disputed corporate statements were false.
Ukraine today announcing a $1.3 billion grant from the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Europe for the first time since former President Trump won the election.
NTD's international correspondent Arian Pazdar has the Ukraine update, starting with an attack on the capital city, Kyiv.
Russia on Wednesday launching its first missile attack on Kyiv since August. That's according to Ukrainian officials, who say the attack involved strategic bombers and ballistic missiles. Elderly women and small children taking shelter in an underground metro station.
The Kiev region is always suffering. Kids can't go to school when drones are flying. And when there are missile attacks, we are seeking shelter.
The scale of the strikes and extent of any damage were not immediately clear. No casualties have been reported so far. This comes as Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Brussels on Wednesday.
It's a pleasure, as always, to be back at NATO.
The goal of the trip is to make sure Ukraine continues receiving aid from the US. Blinken says aiding Ukraine could have two possible outcomes.
Ensuring that Ukraine has the money, the munitions, and the mobilized forces to fight effectively in 2025, or to be able to negotiate a peace from a position of strength.
He added that the Biden administration will make sure to send all Ukraine aid allocated by Congress before January 20th. The White House previously said the same thing after President-elect Trump suggested he'll limit Ukraine aid once returning to office.
Every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door.
Also on Wednesday, Ukraine's prime minister announced that the country received a $1.3 billion grant from the US, saying that Ukraine will direct these funds toward essential humanitarian and social programs. The prime minister called it a vital investment in Ukraine's resilience and global security. Blinken also addressed the issue of Russia training North Korean troops who might fight against Ukraine.
This is a profound and incredibly dangerous development.
Blinken addressed the issue while speaking with Ukraine's foreign minister. The Secretary of State also told his Ukrainian counterpart that the US will continue to provide artillery, air defense, armored vehicles, and other needed capabilities and munitions to Ukraine. Ariane Pastar, NTD News.
Over in China, anger is mounting as Chinese authorities' handling of a fatal car attack that killed 35 people has left many dissatisfied. Officials cleared flowers for the dead, and censors removed posts about the incident. Officials are taking out the old playbook, playing down disasters, and making it seem like nothing happened. A warning, some viewers may find the following footage disturbing.
No news conference, scrubbing online posts about the attack, and almost a day to announce the death toll. This has been Chinese authorities' response to a fatal car accident. A man drove a car into a crowd Monday, killing 35 and injuring over 40 people. NTD can't independently verify that number as Beijing has a record of covering up death tolls. There's little coverage of the incident by state media. Some people took to the internet to criticize authorities' response and question what the attack means for Chinese society. China's censors were quick to remove those posts. Candles and flowers had been laid at the gate of the accident site. A Reuters reporter on the scene said the flowers were removed overnight. Security guards took over the wet side of the gate, blocking the site with metal barriers. Still, many kept dropping off fresh flowers.
It was just a spontaneous feeling that I had when I came to lay the flowers. Even though I didn't know them personally, it felt like those times when I had family members pass away in the past. So I kind of understand that feeling, and this is my feeling.
Local police have arrested the suspect, a 62-year-old who tried to stab himself following the attack. He's in the hospital now. Investigators say it seems he drove into the crowd out of anger over his divorce. This isn't a standalone incident. Another driver rammed into a crowd last year in a BMW, killing at least 6 people. Earlier this year, a Japanese schoolboy was stabbed on his way to school, and 4 American college instructors were stabbed in a park in northeastern China. Sheng Xue is a Chinese-Canadian journalist. She said the incident points to a bigger problem in society.
Similar incidents will erupt as the economy keeps going down. More and more people are growing desperate about their future. Plus, they might have encountered troubles in life, work, and in society, all while living under an extremely cruel authoritarian rule.
She added this forms a negative cycle, as some would vent their anger and grievance on other innocent citizens or those who are weaker than themselves.
Up next, London's Kew Gardens gets set for the holidays. Take a look at the magical light shows after this break.
My dad's name was David. He always talked about getting life insurance, and now it's too late.
No one was expecting my husband Dave to suffer from a heart attack. We didn't have life insurance. We thought we had more time.
Don't be Dave. And don't wait until it's too late to get the life insurance coverage you need. And if you don't have enough insurance to cover funeral costs, credit card debt, and other expenses, your family is going to get stuck with the bill. Call now to get affordable life insurance.
Just call 800-494-1562.
If you're over 50, you can't be turned down for this insurance, regardless of your health. Plus, there's no medical exam, no health questions. Your rate will never go up. Your coverage will never go down. And rates start as low as $5 a week. Remember, don't be Dave. Call now.
Call now. 800-494-1562.
Will radical lies determine your child's future, or will timeless truths? Fathom the Good equips children with wisdom against the world. Our homeschool curriculum teaches high schoolers to think critically. We provide primary texts, original content, reasoning tools, and mentoring videos to help them transform America. Teach your children to navigate the world's woke confusion. Teach them to fathom the good.
There's a whirlwind of emotion and activity going on in this painting. And there's chaos all around and threat from below. The walls surrounding her, and they are anything but unmoved. They're moving all the time, and we sense that. But this little girl remains unmoved.
She's in quite a perilous situation, but she's completely strong and serene, and she's actually meditating. It was very, very well liked because no matter what culture or what sort of walk of life you're from, I think people, they see it and they immediately understand what that energy, what that message is, and they're drawn to it because everybody kind of needs a little bit of that in their own life, of, you know, the steadfast calmness and something to hold on to. It's definitely an inner peace in the midst of something very chaotic, and for a lot of people right now, the whole world is very, very chaotic, so I guess that's another reason why so many people are very drawn to this.
Thanks for staying with us. Londoners and tourists will get to see the famous Kew Gardens in all its holiday glory. Back for a 12th year, Christmas at Kew will bring the garden to life in the deep of winter. Here's a closer look.
Visitors to London's famous Kew Gardens this Christmas will get to walk through a festive nighttime trail. The garden's activities head explains how the idea came about.
We first started the trail as a way of getting people to come to the gardens at the darkest, coldest time of the year, and now hundreds of thousands of people come every year to enjoy the lights, to soak up the atmosphere of Christmas at Kew.
Adam says the trail covers nearly 2 miles. He jokes that you get a really good workout at the event. This year's edition will include past favorites such as the Christmas Cathedral, where Adam says hundreds of wedding proposals happen each year. But it will also have some brand new installations.
So the Palm House show behind me here, completely new configuration this year, one of the most spectacular shows we've ever done. We've got amazing outdoor projections where you walk along the ground, you can kick the snowflake and it scatters along. It's the first time that this has ever worked outside. And then there's the quieter moments, you know, flames and reflective points as well. There's really so much to see that's different every year.
The Botanical Gardens were opened in 1759 and are now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Adam hopes Christmas at Kew can help people connect with the garden's natural beauty.
I mean, one of the most important aspects of Christmas at Kew is for people to bond with nature. The trees are some of the biggest stars of the show. It's all about, you know, the wonder of nature, the architecture of the trees.
Christmas at Kew runs from Wednesday, November 13th till Sunday, January 5th.
And coming up, Elon Musk hits back at The Guardian after the news publisher quits X. It is the first large UK media company to retreat from the platform. We'll have that and more just after this break.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-984-7221. That's 1-800-984-7221, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
Hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my story. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease. I have broken my bones almost 200 times, and I have had 11 surgeries. But I didn't let that stop me. I love to bike ride, climb, race, and I'm learning how to stand and walk. But I can only do all of this because of generous people like you and Shriners Hospitals for Children.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children has helped more than 1.3 million kids just like me, regardless of their family's ability to pay.
Shriners Hospitals for Children is only able to provide this world-class, life-changing medical care because of the generous gifts of people just like you.
Because of you, I can ride my bike. I can play basketball.
Because of people like you, I can run.
I can smile.
Will you send your love to the rescue today?
When you go to loveshriners.org right now and give just 63 cents a day, you're helping kids just like me.
Like me. Like me. When you give today, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of the love you gave to a kid just like me.
Your gift, no matter how small, can help a child today.
This is your moment to make a difference.
When you pick up your phone, I know you have it right there, and call to give. You're helping kids like me. Thank you. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, please call again or give right away at loveshriners.org.
Your gift makes a difference. Thank you for giving.
Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Fiona G.
And I'm Carrie Dunst.
President-elect Trump making a triumphant return to the White House 4 years after leaving office. What President Biden promises to Trump and who are Trump's latest picks in his incoming administration.
And Senate Republicans elect John Thune to lead the upper chamber next year. The South Dakota senator will succeed Mitch McConnell, the longest-serving party leader in Senate history.
House Democratic leaders meet with incoming Democratic members of Congress. How are they reflecting following the loss of the presidency and the Senate?
The transition of power in the White House has begun, and with it, new policies and personnel. We talked to an expert about the economic changes we can expect from Trump's second term.
A deadly explosion at a Louisville, Kentucky factory. The explosion also damaged the surrounding neighborhood.
And Elon Musk hits back at The Guardian after the news publisher quit X. It's the first large UK media company to retreat from the platform.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
President-elect Trump and President Biden focusing on national security and domestic policy in their meeting. It comes as the two pledge a smooth transition of power despite political differences.
Joining us now live is NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao. Iris, good afternoon. What's the White House saying about the Biden-Trump meeting today?
Good afternoon to you as well. The White House says the meeting lasted for approximately 2 hours, and the White House press secretary in the press briefing just now told reporters that the two talked about mainly national security as well as domestic policy issues. Karine Jean-Pierre called it a substantive meeting and also says that Trump came with detailed questions for Biden. Here's what she said. Watch.
It was indeed very cordial, very gracious, and substantive. National security was discussed, domestic policy issues were discussed, and importance of having an orderly transition. The president respects the will of the American people and wants to make sure that occurs.
Meanwhile, as President Biden is set to meet with world leaders as well as China's Xi Jinping in Peru at the APEC summit, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was asked about today what he thinks the biggest threat is facing the U.S. right now. And Jake Sullivan, at the briefing just now, mentioned China in that answer, and mentioning also that Trump's transition team right now, who's being tapped as Trump's National Security Advisor, as well as his Defense Secretary, are all pretty familiar with the issue of China. And Jake Sullivan promised that his team will communicate with Trump's team to ensure that there will be a consensus and clear communication about how to deal with China. Here's what he said. Watch.
The competition with the People's Republic of China is going to be defining
for what the world looks like over the course of the next 10, 20, and 30 years. And so that has got to be a paramount priority for the incoming administration. And the person who's been named as my successor, the person who's been floated as the Secretary of State, these are people who have very much focused on that challenge. And
Meanwhile, today marks Trump's first return to the White House after 4 years. It's also nearly 8 years after he was first invited to the White House by President Obama for his first after-election meeting back then. And meanwhile, today, President Biden promised Trump that there will be a smooth transition in which he will do what he can to ensure that he is accommodated at the White House. And Trump thanking him for that. Watch.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President and Donald, congratulations. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need.
Politics is tough, and it's, in many cases, not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome.
Meanwhile, President-elect Trump is also announcing more picks for his incoming administration. For the past week, he's been hunkering down here at Mar-a-Lago, meeting with his inner circle as well as administration hopefuls. And just today, he announced that 4 of his top campaign advisors will serve as White House senior staff in his second administration. And just last night, he also announced that Fox News anchor and former veteran Pete Hegseth will be his defense secretary, and that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will lead a new department called the Department of Government Efficiency. Back to you.
Great breakdown there, Iris. Keep us updated. Thank you.
Are American college students keeping up with President-elect Trump's cabinet picks? NTD's Sam Wong went to Georgetown and George Washington Universities in D.C. to test the temperature.
Would you say you're familiar with any of Trump's cabinet picks?
Yeah, I'm generally aware of who he's chosen on the border: Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, and Kristi Noem, and then foreign policy: Rubio, Stefanik, and Mike Waltz.
I'm not off the top of my head, no.
Low-key not that much.
How about Elise Stefanik?
No.
Marco Rubio?
No.
Kristi Noem?
No.
Not any of them?
I don't know any of them yet.
Slightly. I looked into some of the cabinet picks.
I think I saw he picked Marco Rubio for Secretary of State.
I heard that Marco Rubio became the Secretary of State.
I would say like a fair amount. Like Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and like RFK.
I know he just appointed somebody to the environmental, I think it's EPA. A lot of pro-climate policies that we should be as a nation kind of going towards, he's against.
And what do you think about the choices we have here?
I think they're pretty solid. I think Trump is definitely signaling that he's strong on his agenda, what he wants to do with the border. You look at, I think he's strong on securing the border. Deportations, picking Tom Homan really signals that.
I don't know if they're positive or negative. I think that there's capacity for it to be both.
I have a genuine belief that they are trying to help their constituents more than Donald Trump is trying to help America.
I think picking a campaign advisor to be his chief of staff was interesting. Yes, she's the first female chief of staff of the United States, which is very interesting, but and very exciting. Going from managing his campaign in Florida to managing his campaign to then now being White House chief of staff is like a big jump.
What do you guys think about having Marco Rubio at the helm of foreign policy?
You're gonna have to take that one for me.
I think he was probably one of the worst picks. He has no policy. I think Nikki Haley would have been a better choice.
I don't think it's going to be that different. I mean, Democrats and Republicans are pretty lined up, at least with regards to China. I'm sure there'll be changes for Ukraine.
I don't think that it's the best option, just given that Florida has been a pretty controversial state.
I think there was a lot of concern that Trump would kind of pick haphazard isolationist voices. This is certainly not what we're getting. We're getting people who are certainly committed to Israel, certainly committed to being hawkish against China and Iran, and Rubio and Waltz. And I think that'll reassure our allies and definitely kind of scare our enemies.
And this just coming in, Trump officially announces U.S. Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. President-elect Donald Trump will be back in the White House on January 20th. Throughout his campaign, he's promised to tackle a number of issues from day one. So what exactly can we expect from Trump's first day in office?
Throughout Trump's 2024 presidential campaign, Trump stated that he plans to begin tackling numerous issues on day one, ranging from border security to the cost of energy.
But the question's often is, what's the first thing you're going to do? I would say we have a tie. We're going to close the border. We're going to stop the millions of people coming in, and we're going to take all of the criminals that have come in, and we know every one of them. I know.
In October, Trump said he would sign an order to close the border within the first hour of the first day of his presidency. He said in Pennsylvania he would encourage the production of fossil fuels from day one.
And we will frack, 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 and drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill.
It isn't clear whether he will sign an executive order to this effect, but he did say he would sign one to end regulations driving up the cost of goods.
On day one, I will sign an executive order directing every federal agency to immediately remove every single burdensome regulation driving up the cost of goods. See, we need regulation, but I have seen regulations where they have 30 regulations for one subject, and the one subject doesn't even matter.
Trump also promised to exempt tips from federal taxes.
Starting on day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again. We will have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors who have been devastated by inflation.
Trump also said he would reverse the Biden administration's order that aims to have half of all new vehicles sold be zero emission by 2030.
They have an electric mandate. Every car is going to be electric, they say. I will terminate that now.
Last year, he promised to sign an executive order to halt federal funding for what he called inappropriate school curricula. That includes critical race theory and what Trump called inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content. Trump also unveiled a plan to stop what he called left-wing gender insanity.
On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
He also said he'll ask Congress to stop taxpayer dollars from being for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting, quote, child sex mutilation in all 50 states. He has also said he will ask Congress to make sure the United States government recognizes only two genders, male and female. And way back when he announced his candidacy in 2022, Trump said he would sign an order banning federal agencies from censoring free speech within hours of his inauguration. And he also called back to his first term in office, releasing a 10-point plan to dismantle what he calls the deep state. Part of that plan involves reissuing a 2020 order making it easier to remove certain government employees. Trump left office before the order could go into effect. Trump's second term will begin at noon on January 20th, 2025.
House Democratic leaders met with their party's incoming members of Congress today following the loss of the presidency and the Senate.
The lawmakers took the opportunity to reflect on their party's messaging.
Recalibrating and re-energizing our party in the coming weeks is the most important thing we can do as elected leaders, because that's how we best serve the people that we fight for. We're going to need to articulate a positive vision for the future where everyone has a shot at a better life and where elected leaders keep their promises.
I think it's appropriate for the Democratic Caucus to reflect on what happened, to listen to our constituents, to listen to American people, to listen to our members.
And in the upper chamber, current Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer met with new Democratic senators yesterday. The new lawmakers include Andy Kim of New Jersey, Ruben Gallego of Arizona, Angela Also Brooks of Maryland, Adam Schiff of California, Lisa Blunt Rochester of Delaware, and Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan.
Republicans will have control of the White House and possibly both chambers of Congress as well next year. Democrats hope to pass as many of their priorities as they can while they still have the majority in the Senate. And Senate Republicans have elected John Thune to lead the upper chamber next year.
That's right. The South Dakota senator will succeed 82-year-old Mitch McConnell, the longest-serving party leader in Senate history.
It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in America. The American people have loudly rejected the failed policies of the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda. And this Republican team is united. We are on one team. We are excited to reclaim the majority and to get to work with our colleagues in the House to enact President Trump's agenda. We have a mandate from the American people, a mandate not only to clean up the mess left by the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda, but also to deliver on President Trump's priorities. We will make sure that the President and his team have the tools and the support that they need to enforce border security laws and to remove the violent criminals who are wreaking havoc in every one of our states. We will work to make America prosperous again by streamlining the bureaucratic machine and overturning costly Biden-Harris regulations. And we will work to restore American energy dominance. Not just our energy security, but energy dominance, which will lower costs and bolster our national security. I'm excited to get to work with this team right away, and I want to thank my colleagues who placed their faith in me to serve as leader, and to those who were supporting another candidate. I promise to be a leader who serves the entire Republican conference. We will have an ambitious agenda, and we'll take each and every Republican working together to be successful. With that, I want to turn things over to Senator John Barrasso, the newly elected Republican whip.
Thank you. On election.
Thune prevailed over Senator John Cornyn of Texas and Senator Rick Scott of Florida. The four-term senator from South Dakota currently serves as the chamber's #2 Republican.
And McConnell called Thune's election, quote, a clear endorsement of a consummate leader. The GOP holds 53 seats in the Senate and are on track to retain their majority in the House of Representatives. The New York Times reports that Special Counsel Jack Smith plans to step down before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Trump said last month he would fire Smith within, quote, 2 seconds once he assumed office. Smith brought 2 cases against Trump. One case involved classified documents Trump kept after leaving office. The other was related to his efforts challenging his 2020 election loss. A federal judge in July dismissed the documents case. The Justice Department is now evaluating how to wind down Smith's election-related case. As a matter of policy, the Department of Justice has long declined to prosecute sitting presidents. Smith is required to report his findings before he resigns. Attorney General Merrick Garland can then decide whether or not to make them public.
Aliens and UFOs were the topics of a congressional hearing on Capitol Hill.
The committee says the goal is to give greater attention to UFO phenomena and uncover new information. This is the second hearing on the topic, following one in July 2023.
UAPs remain a controversial topic. I'm not going to name names, but there are certain individuals who didn't want this hearing to happen because they feared what might be disclosed. But we stood firm. No amount of outside pressure would ever keep me from pursuing a subject to ground, come hell or high water. We have before us a panel of individuals accomplished in the military, in civilian government, in science, and in journalism. Some of the testimony you will hear them deliver today does not reflect well on influential individuals and agencies within the U.S. federal government and perhaps some of our contractors.
Coming up, what does a second Trump turn mean for the American economy and the wallets of the American people? We'll talk to an expert. Stay right there. Don't miss it.
Didn't make it. Thanks to people like you and the American Heart Association, my family never had to see this video. I was a healthy 47-year-old, no symptoms, But then my doctor discovered I had a bad heart valve that was beyond repair. The scariest day of my life was when I was sitting on a gurney as I looked and my wife was at my side and my kids had me surrounded. Deep down, you know, this could be it. This could be all there is.
Not having him around for Riley to grow up with and have that papa figure in his life, that would have been hard.
This little heart valve did something really big. It saved my life. I wouldn't be here today without it. The research for this heart valve was funded by the American Heart Association. And that's why I'm asking you to become a monthly donor for just $19 a month. When you do, you'll help fund the next medical breakthrough that could save your life or the life of someone you love. You'll also provide life-saving CPR training and help certify hospitals to give the best care to those who have had a heart attack or stroke. When you give $19 a month, we'll send you a t-shirt just like this one. From the moment you put it on, you'll help raise awareness for heart disease and stroke. Since my surgery, I had a son get married. I had a daughter graduate high school. I had another daughter give birth to a precious boy. I would have missed all that. And that's why it's personal for me.
We're very thankful for everyone who is a donor because it gives us more time.
Every 40 seconds, someone has a heart attack. The next person you help save could be someone you love or even you. Become a monthly donor today by calling or going to helpheart.org because it's personal.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, as the transition of power begins in the White House, we're starting to see Trump's new administration take form as he fills in key government positions. In fact, just then we received news that Tulsi Gabbard has been appointed as the Director of National Intelligence. And most, if not all, Americans are waiting to see how Trump's second term will change the course of American economy, fiscal policies, and government spending. So joining us now live in studio, thank you for coming again, is Christian Briggs, CEO of Hard Asset Management, Inc., and host of the Hard Asset Money Show. Christian, good to see you again.
Thank you for having me. Love to be here.
And so let's get started with this. Let's start general. What are the main pros and the main cons you're seeing in the second Trump administration?
Well, right now the pros is that he's already identified a lot of the areas from the first term that he probably should have addressed, or at least certainly scaled back some of the size of government, right? Create the efficiency. And what we're seeing now is a whole new President Trump, one that's more educated, one that understands how to get the business done. I always said experience is worth its weight in gold. Now we have a man who's not only experienced from a business standpoint, okay, think about building something in New York, all the red tape, all the hurdles, all the challenges that you would have to do to build skyscrapers. This is a man that's not only determined, but now he knows the inroads of government. So when you talk about efficiency, this is the guy that you could do no better. Not a lifer politician, but he is a businessman. And when he puts Elon Musk and he puts other people of that caliber around him, and he's got great people. And many of the people that he has already appointed in positions to create this new government, clean and drain the swamp, I'm quoting from many people. He has absolutely the right motive, but more importantly, he has the right people. And he's putting them into place today, right now.
And I love that you bring up this idea of efficiency, and of course Elon Musk, probably the biggest news from the last 24 hours, right? Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk heading a Doge, if you will. Now this is really unfamiliar, unexplored territory there. It's a new department. What do you expect or hope to see out of it?
Well, I think what we're going to see is Elon Musk, when he walked into Tesla and he took an idea, that's what it was. It was an idea with a little bit of car manufacturing, created one of the largest brands in the world. Think about this. It has a bigger market cap than the largest 3 automakers combined. So when you talk about a man that knows what he's doing, he knows what he has to do in order to create a product. See, the government's a business. If you have revenues and you have negative or positive balance sheets, you are a business. What better to have the most successful business people in the world aided by one of the most successful presidents in the world? So when he goes into this, I would call it the Department of Efficiency, let's just say it for what it is, and Vivek will obviously be there with him, you're going to see things done so differently. Remember, government by nature is inefficient. It's also a business that was never made to make money. But you know what? We could actually make money. We could have a government that actually spends what it brings in and doesn't overspend what it doesn't have. So I'm expecting a lot. I have a tremendous amount of respect for President Trump, not from the past, but now for even the future. But more importantly, the people around him are going to create the most efficient government in history. And I want them to be able to do it within just a year or two, probably 18 to 24 months. We're going to see the results.
Now you gave an analogy about cutting through red tape to be successful in New York City. With the Department of Government Efficiency, or the DOGE as we like to call it, Trump says, quote, they will drive out the massive waste and fraud which exists throughout our annual $6.5 trillion of government spending. Tactically, how are they going to do that? There's inertia. There are folks in the Beltway that don't want to see that happen. How are they going to accomplish this?
Well, the first thing they're going to do is get the government to quit paying $74,000 for a toilet seat. Okay, let's think about that. Hammers are $12,000. Last time I checked at Home Depot, none of that is right. None of that is accurate. So the first thing you got to do is cut out the contractors and the no bid process. There is a lot of government that will give bids, award private parties a opportunity to be able to do something for the government, right? Whether it's providing water, whether it's toilet seats, whether it's hammers. Let's be realistic here, okay? Okay, we're all pretty adults. $12,000 for a hammer? What hammer is this? Is this gold plated? If you can just cut out that part alone, this is our take on it, okay? We feel that we can cut 20 to 40%, and I say we being the Trump administration, and I like to think that we're all part of that, right? We all have the same motivation to create a better country through better government spending. So if they can cut 20 to 40% of the inefficient fraud waste, you're going to literally be able to bring down the spending and create a better GDP. Why? Because you're not spending as much in places that doesn't need to be spent. That's waste. And I read something the other day that there's about 1,000 lobbyists, consultants, or people that do business with the government. They're nervous. Well, they should be nervous because today is the day of Trump. Today is the day of efficiency. And I think the entire country, I don't care who you vote for, will not argue against efficiency and honesty in government. It's well overdue.
Can you expand on that to specifically deficit spending and how he's going to drive that down?
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, it's not an answer that it can be rectified just in 1 second, but I'll do my best to try to give you a short, mid, or long term. In the short term, what he's got to do is find the waste. That is the fastest, most critical path to success, is find the waste. Because you don't want to cut from areas that are doing really well. Like, okay, there's entitlement programs. We don't want to touch that yet. I think that contracting, and when you look at the deficit spending, and I mean contracting of things of which people provide services or some type of products to the government, especially in military applications, there's a lot of waste and fraud there. So if you want to bring down the deficit, find the fraud first, or find the overbilling, overcharging. I hate to use the word fraud every time because we know there's good people out there that do good work with the government, provide great products and services. But there are people that take advantage of that process, especially the no bidding process. I've said for 20 years, when you have a process that allows someone to just, here's what I'm going to give you, this is how much I want, and someone signs off on it, sometimes I don't even know what the heck it is. What am I buying? What am I selling? What am I doing? You cut that first, or at least look at that area first, and I think you're going to bring down the deficit spending the fastest. And then from there, you start working on the efficiencies within departments that are doing well. And maybe kind of cut a little bit there, not triage it completely, but certainly be mindful about how we spend our money.
And so based on these government tactics, strategies, policies, whatever you want to call it, what is the trickle-down effect? What should everyday Americans be expecting over the next 4 years? Should they be preparing? Should they be investing? What should they be doing?
Well, when you bring down the deficit spending, and you make a good point when you ask that question, what that allows to happen, called tax cuts. See, if the government doesn't need that much money because it's now a more efficiently run business operation, guess what happens? We give tax cuts. It's like any corporation making a lot of money. What do? They increase hiring and they increase wages. So the government can increase wages and increase hiring. You know how they do it? By lowering the taxes. See, if the small businesses, with about 33 million small businesses, which I'm going to give you a number here, it's going to shock you, represents 99% of the U.S. economy. Small businesses do. That's people under 500 employees per business. If you can give them a tax cut, that's the same thing as increasing their wages. What's that going to do to the GDP? What's that going to do to the labor force? You're going to get more people who don't participate in the labor force, who don't pay taxes, to be back in the labor force. Next thing you know, what happens? We have a stronger middle class. Go figure.
And so what's the trickle-down effect going to be for the young Americans out there? We just saw Gen Z is old enough to vote now. 46% of them actually voted for Trump, a big shift from the demographics last time around. What can they expect to see? What advice do you have for them?
I have the number one thing I can say is when you have a government that is pro-business, that is pro-young people. Because pro-business gives everybody from the largest corporations to the smallest businesses an opportunity to hire. And see, there's a lot of young people that are going to college, getting degrees that are having some challenges, maybe finding employment in those areas. But if the GDP is moving higher and the economy is doing great, what does that do? It opens up all doors in business categories. Now, some are more, some a bit less. But the young people need to strive hard and remember, pro-business is the way to ultimately the long-term success of the country and for themselves.
Now, in the U.S. House, currently the Financial Services Committee is exploring the possibility of a debt default. What's happening there?
Well, okay, great question. So Congressman Warren Davidson and I, who sits on the House Financial, did a presentation about almost 4 weeks ago. And if the United States stays on the current course of deficit spending with the amount of about 2 to 3 trillion more than the revenues, they call it national top line, we will default. There is mathematically proven, and you're going to see interest rates continue to stay elevated for some time. The problem that you have is we have to bring those rates down. How do you do this? Well, you have to cut taxes to create the GDP, but you have to cut government first. That's called austerity. That may be a little painful in the short term, but fabulous in the long term, because then you get the debt under control, brings down interest rates, because what's hurting right now is when the old debt comes due and we're renewing that debt, we're not renewing it at 3/4 or even 1%. We're renewing that debt at 4.5%. That's a problem. That problem can be addressed by cutting government spending because you're not adding to the debt all of a sudden. Increase the taxes, now the labor force increases, the tax revenue actually goes up by the definition of what? Lower federal taxes. So we can bring the debt down. It's going to take some time, but it has to start right now. And I know Trump knows this because Elon has been making points of this now for weeks. Even before the election, he talked about it. He said the debt is our number one problem. I agree. So the number one way, cut government spending.
Leading up to the election, there was considerable House committees about what could happen with the default. Now that Trump's in, is the calculus swinging? What's different now that Trump is elected in addressing this concern over default? Okay,
great question. Nothing has changed until something changes, okay? In other words, until you either brake or you jump out of that car is going to speed down that road. Everything right now is theory. We work on conclusiveness, right? Conclusions are the only way to prove that facts and the math are real. Theory now is that Trump's going to come in and be able to cut the waste. Cutting the waste reduces government spending. Government spending gets reduced. That's reduced in deficit spending, adds less to the debt. Governments around the world will applaud that, saying, well, now you have a strong currency. We're going to buy your debt. We're willing to even have you pay us less interest on that debt. But until somebody is breaking those brakes in that car, until somebody actually does something, that's a theory. We will default in the next 3 to 4 years if the current pace of spending and the current elevated rates stay the same. We will default on the long-term bonds. Now, the short term's different. I'm not as familiar with those. We've been working on some spreadsheets on those. Those seem to be okay. But that 30, that 20, that 10, that's a problem. We cannot maintain the consistency of the rapid spending of deficit and the elevated rates. If we do, we will default.
Most of the messaging from Trump on the campaign trail was how the middle class will be strengthened, jobs will come back to the U.S. But you just mentioned the potential for austerity and the default on short-term bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So what does Trump have to do to manage and balance these two potential conflicting concerns?
Well, first of all, the tariffs can work very well in a bargaining chip. Now, that doesn't mean you go out there and willy-nilly throw a grenade at every single product and put a tariff on it. You know, it could do damage that we don't know yet. It could be unforeseen damage in the long term. But he is right. China has been dumping products into the United States for decades, lower than cost, right? They've been doing that to try to gain market share. So it's time to bring the manufacturing jobs back here to make our products less expensive to manufacture when the tariffs are applied. He will do that. That right there in the manufacturing. See, when something is manufactured in the United States, every dollar manufactured value represents $12 into the economy. okay? Whether it's the dry cleaners, the grocery stores, it might be the schools. It could be a host of things within that economy that represents. So bringing that back brings a larger middle class base to potentially subsidize the government cutting spending because we're increasing efficiency. You know what that also brings? Overseas investment. See, when the manufacturing comes back here, companies around the world are like, why would I build it over here when I can build it in the United States, sell it within the US, and it's cheaper? Look at Volkswagen. They're talking about moving their entire operations out of Germany. And the United States may be a place that picks that up. That's an almost 88-year company. They're having challenges making cars in Germany at the rate or the cost that they could do it better here.
Well, the economy clearly has been a very important topic this entire election cycle, and there's still a lot that remains to be seen. So, Christian Briggs, I want to thank you for joining us again today. Great insight, great breakdown. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we do have some breaking news for our viewers out there. President-elect Trump has just announced that Florida Republican Representative Matt Gaetz will be the U.S. Attorney General. And now when we come back, a former U.S. government worker charged with leaking classified information about Israel's plans to strike Iran. What we know about that so far. And Elon Musk hits back at The Guardian after the news publisher quits X. It is the first large UK media company to retreat from the platform. Stay tuned.
As the universe nears the end of its cycle of creation and destruction, the merciful King of Kings descends to save it, confronting the chaos sown by the malformed Red Dragon. Earth becomes the ultimate battleground. Humanity faces a defining choice. Our eternal fate hangs in the balance during this pivotal moment of cosmic shift.
There's cultures that have been lost, but this culture hasn't been. The artist is showing us our sense of who we are, where we came from. You look at his hat. His hat is knitted probably by a man because a man traditionally knitted the hats. That hat tells you the story of who this person is, what his place in the culture is, the animals around him. Everything's all contained in the messages in the hat. And the tool that he's carrying over his shoulder. This is a centuries-old tool that has been able to rework the mountains. Those traditions are invaluable, and if we don't honor those traditions, then we're rootless. The artist is showing us the value of maintaining our culture and respecting our culture.
Thanks for staying with us. A company says that 2 employees died in an explosion at a Louisville, Kentucky factory yesterday afternoon.
The explosion caused a partial collapse of the building and blew out windows in nearby homes and businesses. This led to an hours-long search for the victims.
This is an incredibly sad and tragic incident. These two individuals who have passed went into their job in an ordinary day to provide for their family when the unthinkable happened.
When you're dealing with a large explosion like this and such a massive amount of destruction, it's going to be difficult. But again, our people are experts in this. We have the assistance of the ATF.
And so we don't have any reason to believe at this moment that there's any type of nefarious activity. But again, we want to make sure that we have a thorough investigation and we'll find out what the actual cause was.
The Louisville mayor said firefighters rescued and evacuated many people from the building. This included some with life-threatening injuries.
And he also said that officials have accounted for everyone who was working at the plant at the time. 10 people were injured. The cause is still being investigated. And firefighters are making steady progress on the Jennings Creek wildfire along the New Jersey and New York border. The blaze is now 30% contained.
Meanwhile, the mountain fire in Ventura County, California is now more than 50% contained, with many residents able to return to their homes. NTD's Christina Corona brings us the latest.
Officials from both states reported Wednesday that over 4,000 acres are burning, including 2,100 acres in New York and almost 2,300 in New Jersey. Fire officials provided an update on progress in containing the blaze.
Firefighting has been extremely difficult. Again, it's steep. We're in very steep, rugged terrain. Fire crews are going in there and attacking it by ground transport. So pretty much they're hiking their way in, and there's really no easy access. They're carrying all their equipment, tools, no real bulldozers.
He reports that wind gusts have been rising to speeds of 35 to 40 miles per hour.
So that is hampering our efforts to do significant suppression. So that's why we're not going super interior to attack the fire. However, we are in a place where we are actively engaging the fire. And right now, all our tactics seem to be holding the line here in New Jersey.
Franek says they're using satellite imagery, air surveillance, and on-ground surveys to map the fire more accurately, coordinating closely between the two states. On Tuesday, New York Governor Kathy Hochul announced a burn ban in the state, citing the need to focus on major fires. In California, the mountain fire has burned 20,630 acres and is now 60% contained. Currently, around 1,900 personnel are assigned to the incident, and many residents are now returning to their homes. Officials remind residents that crews will continue to be present in the area.
Crews will be in there today, gridding, patrolling, and communicating with the public as we move into the recovery phase.
Officials say warmer, drier conditions are expected Wednesday, with northeast winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Disruptions to Amtrak service on the Northeast Corridor continued today following a fire near a track in the Bronx.
That's right. Utility company Con Edison said the blaze broke out yesterday afternoon while Amtrak employees were working on high voltage equipment. Service between New York and New Haven, Connecticut was suspended. Those passengers were advised to take the Metro North, which is the local train. There were also delays between New York and Washington, D.C., and between Boston and New Haven.
Yesterday's fire spread to a nearby warehouse and to a Con Edison substation parking lot. A spokesperson said the blaze damaged 3 vehicles. Railroad officials said last night that they expected normal service to resume this afternoon.
And a former U.S. government employee has been charged with leaking classified information about Israel's prior plans to attack Iran. This is according to court papers filed today. Asif William Rahman was arrested by the FBI this week in Cambodia. He was scheduled to make his first court appearance in Guam. It's unclear whether he had a lawyer or which federal agency employed him. But officials said he had top secret clearance. Rahman was indicted last week in Virginia on 2 felony charges for allegedly sharing national defense information. These charges could lead to significant prison sentences. They stem from documents that appeared last month on Telegram. The documents noted that Israel was moving military assets in response to the October 1st missile attack from Iran.
President Biden is set to meet with the head of the Chinese Communist Party, Xi, on Saturday during an international summit in Peru. The meeting comes as Beijing prepares for Trump's return to the White House. A senior Biden administration official confirmed the plans for meeting the president of the CCP. It will take place during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Lima. This is just over 2 months before Trump's inauguration. The official did not say how Biden and his advisors would respond to questions from the regime's leaders about the incoming Trump administration. It's also unclear if Biden will discuss U.S.-China relations with Trump during his visit to the White House today. And China is watching Elon Musk with growing interest, a person who has Trump's ear plus extensive business ties in China. Will he become the next Henry Kissinger, the U.S. diplomat who played a key role in Washington's opening up to communist China? Well, here's what some experts have to say.
Chinese news outlets have come out with articles speculating whether Musk would help ease U.S.-China tensions. He campaigned hard for Trump in Pennsylvania, donated over $100 million, and got a shout-out in Trump's victory speech.
Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. Now he is. Now he's an amazing guy.
The limelight over Musk comes at a critical moment. U.S.-China relations are at a low point, and Trump's pledge of a 60% tariff would deal a heavy blow to China's economy. Musk is the CEO of Tesla, and China is Tesla's largest market outside the U.S., accounting for almost 40% of its global sales. Musk met with Chinese Premier Li Qiang this April to boost Tesla's sales in the country. Li praised Tesla a successful model for U.S.-China collaboration. Musk has also said conflicts over Taiwan are inevitable. The Chinese Communist Party sees Taiwan as part of China, despite never having ruled it. Musk recommended carving out a special administrative zone for Taiwan, similar to Hong Kong. A few experts think it's a stretch to see Musk as the next Kissinger. Though Wang Huiyao, founder of a think tank in Beijing, thinks Musk and a few others could function that way, as a group of Kissingers to help stabilize relations, like Apple CEO Tim Cook and Blackstone Group's Steven Schwarzman. NTD has reached out to Tesla for comment, but did not hear back before airtime.
British news publisher The Guardian said today that it will no longer post anything on X. It said this was because of disturbing content, including racism and conspiracy theories, on the social media platform. Elon Musk hit back at The Guardian on X by calling them irrelevant. The Guardian becomes the first large UK media company to retreat from the platform. The role of X and other platforms came under the spotlight in Britain this year. 3 young girls were killed in the northern English town of Southport. Violence broke out after false claims from online posts. And anger is mounting over Chinese authorities' handling of a fatal car attack that killed 35 people. Officials cleared flowers for the dead, and censors removed posts about the incident. Officials are taking out the old playbook again by playing down disasters and making it seem as if nothing happened. And a warning, some viewers may find the following footage disturbing.
No news conference, scrubbing online posts about the attack, and almost a day to announce the death toll. This has been Chinese authorities' response to a fatal car accident. A man drove a car into a crowd Monday, killing 35 and injuring over 40 people. NTD can't independently verify that number, as Beijing has a record of covering up death tolls. There's little coverage of the incident by state media. Some people took to the internet to criticize authorities' response and question what the attack means for Chinese society. China's censors were quick to remove those posts. Candles and flowers had been laid at the gate of the accident site. A Reuters reporter on the scene said the flowers were removed overnight. Security guards took over the wet side of the gate, blocking the site with metal barriers. Still, many kept dropping off fresh flowers.
It was just a spontaneous feeling that I had when I came to lay the flowers. Even though I didn't know them personally, it felt like those times when I had family members pass away in the past. So I kind of understand that feeling, and this is my feeling.
Local police have arrested the suspect, a 62-year-old who tried to stab himself following the attack. He's in the hospital now. Investigators say it seems he drove into the crowd out of anger over his divorce. This isn't a standalone incident. Another driver rammed into a crowd last year in a BMW, killing at least 6 people. Earlier this year, a Japanese schoolboy was stabbed on his way to school, and 4 American college instructors were stabbed in a park in northeastern China. Sheng Xue is a Chinese-Canadian journalist. She said the incident points to a bigger problem in society.
Similar incidents will erupt as the economy keeps going down. More and more people are growing desperate about their future. Plus, they might have encountered troubles in life, work, and in society, all while living under an extremely cruel authoritarian rule.
She added this forms a negative cycle, as some would vent their anger and grievance on other innocent citizens or those who are weaker than themselves.
Coming up, a London neighborhood seeks protected status for its favorite dish. Some locals call it the original fast food.
And baseball superstar Shohei Ohtani's historic 50th home run ball has been unveiled. It is the most expensive baseball ever sold at auction. We'll have that and more just after this break.
Emeril Lagasse here, and I'm so excited to tell you about my French door air fryer 360. Extra large 26-quart capacity. Cook with up to 70% less calories from fat than deep frying. That's a big deal, my friend. 360 degrees of superheated air gives you fast, even cooking. My 10-in-1 French door air fryer 360s grills, air fries, dehydrates, roasts, bakes, broils, proofs, slow cooks, and toasts. This baby does it all. These French doors are a game changer. Look at how easy that is.
Now find out how you can try Emeril Lagasse's French Door Air Fryer 360 with 3 cooking tiers, fetch tool, air frying rack, and drip tray in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Order now and you'll also get Emeril's Air Fryer Favorites recipe book. And we'll automatically upgrade you to our bonus cooking kit free. Plus, find out how you can get free shipping. This offer will not last, so call or click now to order.
You're gonna love it. I guarantee it.
بیست و سه سال 16 سال عمري ما هفت
اما داعش کردیان برانبر خوشکو دایکانی ازدی ما کاری که دور دور لهمو چمک دموکراسی و موافقانی مرو و انسانیت او بارو خی که است های به تایبت عراق و سوریه بشه که دگرت و با حالانه که اداره اوباما کرد
مریم بو او هفت روز بو و داعش از کرد تامبوم كرا قوتينيز قريا بما متشكر بحر في ذا نبو باوان رحمنا ودمنا سؤالنا من خادران نزر باوان وستم بس نا وانا قبس ناش بجوش باش.
They would literally be auctioned in front of soldiers, and then the soldiers begin to bid.
زارود وان همو جيبر تي حمري زارود الدم واسي سيبان همو جيبر
وحشیگری کی توا عیار ظلمی که یک جار زور گوره لما افرقانه کرده و تعدایی که زور زوریان لیده کرده اما نه روزانه دست فروشیده اليوم التوزيع كل الرصيد.
Imagine being a child, having a child mentality and these evil people come and wheel you away from the only safety you've ever known.
Thanks for staying with us. London's East End is seeking protected status for its favorite dish. Some locals call it the original fast food. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on the savory classic.
This piping hot pie and mash is a staple of London's East End. The signature dish consists of a minced beef pie with pastry, mashed potatoes, and a green parsley sauce known as liquor. Conservative Member of Parliament Richard Holden is trying to get protected status for the meal.
This is actually about celebrating something which is actually quite popular. What I want to do, though, is make sure that actually there's a real recognition for it, because it's an artisan product.
If traditional specialty guaranteed status is approved, the next step is agreement on a standard recipe. Regular spot checks for taste and appearance would be required as well. At this cafe in London's East End, Pie and Mash has plenty of fans.
Twice a week we come.
You never get bored of it?
No, I'd come every day if I could.
We have babies in here and they actually wean the children on mash and liquor. So I do think it's something you're brought up on.
Pie and Mash was first served in the East End over 150 years ago. Food writer Josh Berry says the dish is central to the East End culture.
It's an identity thing with London because in Cornwall you've got Cornish pasties, in Bury you've got black pudding, and so it's something to celebrate in London, I think, pie.
If Pie and Mash wins protected status, the dish could draw attention beyond London's East End. No matter what, the comfort food will continue to be beloved by locals. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And from London, now we head to Taiwan. The historic 50th home run ball hit by baseball superstar Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers was unveiled today. It was displayed for public viewing at Taiwan's landmark Taipei 101 Tower.
This ball marks a significant milestone in baseball history. Ohtani stands alone as the only player to achieve 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a single season. He reached the milestone on September 19th this year. The ball was sold at a recent auction for a record-breaking amount of nearly $4.4 million. It is now the most expensive baseball ever sold at auction.
I hope that the exhibition of Shohei Ohtani's 50th home run ball can bring more dreams and hopes to children in Taiwan. I hope that this commemorative ball would be able to expand future exchanges between Japan and Taiwan.
The exhibition was made possible by Taipei 101.
I hope this historic ball can create more opportunities for exchanges between Taiwan and Japan and allow all baseball-loving fans around the world to come to Taipei 101 Tower in Taiwan to see this exhibition.
The display has attracted visitors from across the world.
Just came here by chance. I was actually showing my mom around Taipei this week, and so today was her last day in Taiwan, and I was like, we gotta go to Taipei 101. Had no idea this was gonna happen, and just kind of stumbled upon it. And it's really kind of amazing because we're both from California.
I am really happy to see this historic ball in Taiwan.
Although it is just a ball, its existence has great significance to me. But I think Shohei's health is the most important thing.
Ohtani's 50th home run ball will be on display at the Taipei 101 Tower through March next year. It offers baseball fans and visitors an opportunity to witness a piece of sports history.
And coming up, the world's richest man will be heading a new government efficiency panel with a fellow entrepreneur. What will the duo be in charge of and the targets they have in mind? Stay with us after the break.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
So at the age of 5, I was sexually molested. I had my first child at the age of 15 and became homeless at the age of 16. The scariest part about not having a place to live was having a child and not having a place to live and not knowing where our meal was going to come from and where we're going to sleep. To be homeless as a teen, I didn't ask for that.
No young person should ever have to worry about having a safe place to sleep at night, or a warm meal to eat, or whether anyone cares about them. 1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year, and that's unacceptable. But the good news is there is an organization making a big difference, Covenant House.
Call or go online now. For a gift of only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can provide hot meals, safe shelter, medical care, and love to more than 2,000 young people who sleep at a Covenant House every night.
For over 50 years, Covenant House has been helping youth in crisis.
It was pretty tough. But Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
Call or go online right now to safeplacetosleep.org with your gift of just $19 a month. With your monthly donation, you'll receive this soft, comforting blanket as a reminder of the warmth and safety your gift will provide a young person tonight.
I have no words to express how Covenant House changed my life. They gave me the love that I needed. They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
Your $19 monthly gift is urgently needed to reach other young people who are facing unimaginable situations. Call or go online to safeplacetosleep.org.
Your support makes the work of Covenant House possible. Thank you for caring.
The Kindness is Cool Video Awards are back for their second year. Record and nominate acts of kindness, both big and small, from individuals, families, and communities. Submit your videos on ganjingworld.com with the hashtag KindnessIsCool. Win a $10,000 grand prize and be featured on a New York Times Square billboard. Visit ganjingworld.com and start sharing today. Kindness is cool.
Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Fiona G.
I'm Kerry Dunst.
House Democratic leaders meet with incoming Democratic members of Congress.
How are they reflecting following the loss of the presidency and the Senate?
Senate Republicans elect John Thune to lead the upper chamber next year. The South Dakota senator will succeed Mitch McConnell, the longest-serving party leader in Senate history.
And the world's richest man will be heading a new government efficiency panel with a fellow entrepreneur. What the duo will be in charge of and the targets they have in mind.
Normally, people go to a streaming service like Netflix to get away from ads. But Netflix's advertising president says they are having success with their ad-supported service.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
House Democratic leaders met with their party's incoming members of Congress today, following the loss of the presidency and the Senate.
That's right. The lawmakers took the opportunity to reflect on their party's messaging.
Recalibrating and re-energizing our party in the coming weeks is the most important thing we can do as elected leaders, because that's how we best serve the people that we fight for. We're going to need to articulate a positive vision for the future where everyone has a shot at a better life and where elected leaders keep their promises.
I think it's appropriate for the Democratic caucus to reflect on what happened, to listen to our constituents, to listen to American people, to listen to our members.
And in the upper chamber, current Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer met with new Democratic senators yesterday. The new lawmakers include Andy Kim of New Jersey, Ruben Gallego of Arizona, Angela Also Brooks of Maryland, Adam Schiff of California, Lisa Blunt of Rochester of Delaware, and Elisa Slotkin of Michigan.
Republicans will have control of the White House and possibly both chambers of Congress as well next year. Democrats hope to pass as many of their priorities as they can while they still have the majority in the Senate.
A former U.S. government employee has been charged with leaking classified information about Israel's prior plans to attack Iran. This, according to court papers filed today. Asif William Rahman was arrested by the FBI this week in Cambodia. He was scheduled to make his first court appearance in Guam. It's unclear whether he had a lawyer or which federal agency employed him, but officials said he had top secret clearance. Rahman was indicted last week in Virginia on 2 felony charges for allegedly sharing national defense information. These charges could lead to significant prison sentences. They stem from documents that appeared last month on Telegram. The documents noted that Israel was moving military assets in response to the October 1st missile attack from Iran. And the New York Times reports that Special Counsel Jack Smith plans to step down before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. Trump said last month he would fire Smith within 2 seconds once he assumed office. Smith brought 2 cases against Trump. One case involved classified documents Trump kept after leaving office. The other was related to his efforts challenging his 2020 election loss. A federal judge in July dismissed the documents case. The Justice Department is now evaluating how to wind down Smith's election-related case. As a matter of policy, the Department of Justice has long declined to prosecute sitting presidents. Smith is required to report his findings before he resigns. Attorney General Merrick Garland can then decide whether or not to make them public.
British news publisher The Guardian said today that it will no longer post to X. It said this was because of disturbing content, including racism and conspiracy theories on the social media platform. Elon Musk hit back at The Guardian on X by calling them irrelevant. The Guardian becomes the first large UK media company to retreat from the platform. The role of X and other platforms came under the spotlight in Britain this year. 3 young girls were killed in the northern English town of Southport. Violence broke out after false claims from online posts. And aliens and UFOs were the topic of a congressional hearing on Capitol Hill.
That's right. The committee says the goal is to give greater attention to UFO phenomena and uncover new information. This is the second hearing on the topic following one in July 2023.
UAPs remain a controversial topic. I'm not going to name names, but there are certain individuals who didn't want this hearing to happen because they feared what might be disclosed. But we stood firm. No amount of outside pressure would ever keep me from pursuing a subject to ground, come hell or high water. We have before us a panel of individuals accomplished in the military, in civilian government, in science, and in journalism. Some of the testimony you will hear them deliver today does not reflect well on influential individuals and agencies within the U.S. federal government and perhaps some of our contractors.
There were witnesses and testimonies from the military and civilian government, as well as people in the science and journalism communities. Some expressed concern for how difficult it is to openly talk about the subject. One witness talked about experiences of being intimidated by government agents with the goal of silencing him.
Yeah, that's right. And another hot topic was demanding more transparency on the amount of tax money being spent on projects related to UFOs, as well as concern regarding advanced technology being used by enemies against the U.S. or our allies. Moving on now, President-elect Trump makes 3 new announcements for important administration picks. One of them includes a recent former Democrat. Trump has chosen Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State. In an X post, he said he will deliver peace through strength and always put the interests of the American people first.
The position gives Rubio the leadership position at the State Department, making him the nation's top diplomat and the 3rd most powerful man in the administration.
Tulsi Gabbard has been nominated for Director of National Intelligence. She posted a response on X saying that she is looking forward to getting to work.
Gabbard recently left the Democratic Party. She served in the House of Representatives from 2013 to 2021. She also ran for president as a Democratic Party candidate in 2020.
Trump's latest pick is Congressman Matt Gaetz. Trump wants him to serve as U.S. Attorney General.
That's right. Gaetz has served in Congress since 2017 and will take the position Merrick Garland has held under the Biden administration. In a Truth Social post, Trump explained why he chose Gaetz. Trump said Matt will end weaponized government, protect our borders, dismantle criminal organizations, and restore Americans' badly shattered faith and confidence in the Justice Department.
Ukraine today announcing a $1.3 billion grant from the U.S. Secretary of State. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Europe for the first time since former President Trump won the election.
NTD's international correspondent Arian Pazdar has the Ukraine update, starting with an attack on the capital city of Kyiv.
Russia on Wednesday launching its first missile attack on Kyiv since August. That's according to Ukrainian officials, who say the attack involved strategic bombers and ballistic missiles. Elderly women and small children taking shelter in an underground metro station.
The Kyiv region is always suffering. Kids can't go to school when drones are flying. And when there are missile attacks, we are seeking shelter.
The scale of the strikes and extent of any damage were not immediately clear. No casualties have been reported so far. This comes as Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Brussels on Wednesday.
It's a pleasure, as always, to be back at NATO.
The goal of the trip is to make sure Ukraine continues receiving aid from the US. Blinken says aiding Ukraine could have two possible outcomes.
Ensuring that Ukraine has the money, the munitions, and the mobilized forces to fight effectively in 2025, or to be able to negotiate a peace from a position of strength.
He added that the Biden administration will make sure to send all Ukraine aid allocated by Congress before January 20th. The White House previously said the same thing after President-elect Trump suggested he'll limit Ukraine aid once returning to office.
Every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door.
Also on Wednesday, Ukraine's Prime Minister announced that the country received a $1.3 billion grant from the US, saying that Ukraine will direct these funds toward essential humanitarian and social programs. The Prime Minister called it a vital investment in Ukraine's resilience and global security. Blinken also addressed the issue of Russia training North Korean troops who might fight against Ukraine.
This is a profound and incredibly dangerous development.
Blinken addressed the issue while speaking with Ukraine's foreign minister. The Secretary of State also told his Ukrainian counterpart that the US will continue to provide artillery, air defense, armored vehicles, and other needed capabilities and munitions to Ukraine. Ariane Pastar, NTD News.
Coming up, media titan John Malone is reorganizing entertainment giant Liberty Media. Liberty Live, partial owner of Live Nation, will become an independent firm. CEO Greg Maffei will step down at the same time.
And staying with media companies, Netflix is streamlining its advertising offerings for companies as more subscribers are paying for the ad-supported version of its service. Stay with us after the break.
We've been spending a lot more time than ever at home these days. So maybe now you've just noticed cold air coming in from a couple windows, or that your patio door isn't closing fully, which means you're losing heat in the winter, losing cooling in the summer, losing money all year long. And that means now is the time for new windows and patio doors from Renewal by Andersen. Most installations are usually done in just one day. Renewal by Andersen windows and doors can help lower your heating bills and air conditioning bills with their most energy efficient glass available. Only their windows are made with Fibrex material, proven to be 2 times stronger than vinyl, and they're backed by a 20-year warranty. And right now, when you buy one window or patio door, get one at 40% off. Plus, there's no money down, no payments for 12 months, and no interest for 12 months. Plus, an additional $200 off your entire purchase.
1-800-968-1443.
Come to Mathis Home Furniture Superstore and save with Black Friday deals. We have the largest selection of bedrooms with the styles you like at prices you'll love. Like this queen platform bed covered in a velvet fabric and 2 matching nightstands. You get the bed and nightstands just $359. They're all in stock now, so you get fast delivery absolutely free. For style and value, shop Black Friday deals at California's Furniture Superstore, Mathis Home.
Are you over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days? I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. Call now for this free book on maximizing your income in retirement. Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers from one of the nation's leading financial firms. That's right, free. This book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we're about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known truths we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity, and it's free. Call 800-360-0943. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. We researched numerous products and summarized rates and benefits of annuities, all from Silac Insurance Company. Call 800-360-0943. That's 800-360-0943. Call now.
Will radical lies determine your child's future, or will timeless truths? Fathom the Good equips children with wisdom against the world. Our homeschool curriculum teaches high schoolers to think critically. We provide primary texts, original content, reasoning tools and mentoring videos to help them transform America. Teach your children to navigate the world's woke confusion. Teach them to fathom the good.
Welcome back. For today's Business Matters, we have Don Ma here with us. Don, how are you? What's going on in the world of business today?
Yeah, doing well. So and I have an update in the airline industry to start off. Spirit Airlines may be entering its final descent here. Today, its stock fell the most on record at more than 60%. Spirit shared that it is in talks with creditors to restructure debt, and this comes after a merger attempt failed between Spirit and fellow budget airliner Frontier. A report by the Wall Street Journal revealed that the airline could file for bankruptcy within weeks. Despite strong travel demand, Spirit has not reported a profit in the 5 out of last 6 quarters. And inflation moved in the wrong direction. Apparently last month, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released the latest consumer price index data today. It shows consumer prices rose 0.2% in October. Housing-related inflation accounted for half of the monthly rise. Energy prices were flat, and that's after they dragged down the overall index for 4 of the past 6 months. Still, though, inflation has eased considerably since it peaked at 9.1% in June of 2022. October's increase was the first time the annual rate bumped higher since March. Underlying inflation appears to be stable. That leaves the Federal Reserve on track to make additional rate cuts in December. And designer trends are staying on the runway and on shelves. That's because personal luxury goods sales are seeing one of the weakest years on record. Consultants Bain and Company found that sales are set to fall 2% this year. It said China is dragging down their nearly $390 billion market. Bain estimates that sales dipped up to 22% in the world's second largest economy. China's economic woes and weaker consumer confidence, coupled with brands raising prices, have detoured customers, especially younger ones. And a battle to be the best bargain, Amazon is taking on ultra-low-cost Chinese rivals Temu and Shein with Amazon Haul. The online retail giant announced that it is launching a new low-cost e-commerce service. Everything will be under $20, the majority will be priced under $10, and some items will be as little as $1. The service will be available on the Amazon app when customers update their app next. Shoppers will just have to search Haul. And President-elect Trump continues to quickly fill up cabinet positions in his administration. NTD's Daniel Monahan has the latest picks, including entrepreneurs Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Entrepreneurs Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will join the Trump administration to lead the Department of Government Efficiency. The proposed new department will focus on reducing waste and cutting excess regulation. Trump said Musk and Ramaswamy will work from outside the government to offer the White House advice and guidance to drive large-scale structural reform. He suggested the proposed department would create an entrepreneurial approach to government never seen before and would send shockwaves through Washington. Trump said in a statement, quote, "These two wonderful Americans will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy." Ramaswamy expressed his enthusiasm for the role, writing on X, "We will not go gently," and tagging Musk. Musk has publicly advocated for government efficiency.
Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
Musk says if the government doesn't become more efficient, America will go bankrupt.
Our defense budget is pretty gigantic. It's $1 trillion. But the interest that we owe on the debt is now higher than the defense budget, over $1 trillion and growing. This is not sustainable.
The Tesla CEO says all the department's activity will be posted online for maximum transparency, and there will be a leaderboard for what he called the most insanely dumb spending of people's tax dollars. Trump also asked Tuesday South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to lead the Department of Homeland Security. Trump wrote that Noem was the first governor to send National Guard soldiers to help Texas fight the border crisis. Noem thanked Trump, promising to secure the border and restore safety to American communities. The announcement came on the heels of a flurry of cabinet picks unveiled by Trump on Tuesday. Those include former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe for Director of the CIA. Ratcliffe served as Director of National Intelligence during the first Trump term. Trump named combat veteran Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary. Hegseth spent 8 years as a Fox News host and wrote the bestseller The War on Warriors, a critique of left-wing policies undermining the military. The president-elect also named William McGinley to serve as White House counsel. Trump called McGinley a smart and tenacious lawyer who will fight for election integrity and against the weaponization of law enforcement. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
And just a bit more here on the two entrepreneurs that have been tasked with streamlining the U.S. government. President-elect, as you heard just now, has chosen Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to head a new panel that will provide outside advice to the government. In a statement, Trump said that the panel would address slimming down the government as well as cutting regulations, reducing spending, and restructuring federal agencies. Trump and Musk have suggested that the panel will be able to make dramatic cuts, but large budgetary actions are in the hands of Congress, which can choose to take the advice of the efficiency panel or disregard it. Musk has previously set an ambitious goal of cutting $2 trillion of spending. Based on the numbers from the Congressional Budget Office, this would be a difficult target to reach. And today, the U.S. dollar reached a near 7-month high against major foreign currencies. The rise was buoyed by President-elect Trump's victory. It was also in response to data showing that U.S. inflation increased in October, in line with expectations, though. This suggests that the Federal Reserve will keep cutting rates. Meanwhile, the euro has fallen to one-year lows, reviving concerns it could dip to $1. Currently, it's around 106. Trump's win also raises the prospect of a hike in tariffs, which could deal a fresh blow to the Eurozone economy. Now, a big shakeup at entertainment giant Liberty Media. Liberty Live, partial owner of Live Nation, will become its own firm, and CEO Greg Maffei plans to step down at the same time. Here's the story.
Media titan John Malone making major adjustments to his media empire. Entertainment giant Liberty Media will be split up. The owner of multiple assets, most prominently Formula One racing, will split off Liberty Live. Liberty Media is 30% owner of Live Nation Entertainment and 80% owner of Liberty Technology Venture Capital, a fund focused on Israeli tech companies. Liberty Media CEO Greg Maffei says the split will simplify the firm's capital structure and improve stock price accuracy. At the same time, Maffei himself will be stepping down at the end of the year, with no clear reasons given. During Maffei's nearly 19-year tenure, Liberty invested in the Atlanta Braves, DirecTV, SiriusXM, Live Nation Entertainment, Charter Communications, and Formula One. Maffei was previously co-president of Oracle and CFO of Microsoft. Replacing him as chairman and media titan John Malone himself to become interim CEO. Malone played a major role in developing cable TV across the U.S. when he was CEO of Telecommunications, Inc. Malone founded Liberty Media in 1991.
And the race for the Japanese owner of 7-Eleven is heating up. 7&I Holdings announced today that it has received a buyout proposal from a member of its founding family worth $58 billion. And this is while the company weighs a rival offer from Canada's Alimentation Couche-Tard. Take a look.
Japan's 7&I says it's received a buyout proposal from a member of its founding Ito family. The news on Wednesday follows a report that the 7-Eleven owner was considering a management buyout offer worth up to $58 billion. The proposal from Ito Kogyo is non-binding and is being reviewed by a special committee set up by 7&I to look at a rival offer from Canada's Alimentation Couche-Tard. In a statement, the Japanese retailer said no decision had been made regarding the proposal. But if a deal reaches $58 billion, it would make it the largest management buyout in history. 7&I's shares surged in afternoon trade, having been suspended earlier in the day. They closed up 12%, valuing the company at around $42 billion. The sprawling Japanese retailer has been under pressure to deliver more for shareholders, particularly after Circle K owner Couche-Tard emerged in August with a takeover bid that sources say it has since sweetened to $47 billion. Going private would allow Seven & i to continue under current management and remove pressure from shareholders to sell off more assets. While the Japanese 7-Eleven convenience stores are a money spinner, the company has been hurt by poor performance at its supermarkets.
Paying more for fewer routes? Riders who rely on Philadelphia's mass transit system could soon face a 21% fare increase. The Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, or SEPTA, will hold a public hearing next month before the rate hike would go into effect on the first of the year. SEPTA has repeatedly warned that its financial health is uncertain, and that's why it's considering cutting services starting in the summer. That would include eliminating and shortening routes and reducing the frequency of bus, trolley, subway, and rail services. SEPTA is also facing a potential strike by thousands of its workers. The Federal Aviation Administration has grounded all flights to Haiti for a month, and this comes after 3 jets from U.S.-based airlines were struck by bullets while flying over Haiti's capital amid escalating gang violence. American Airlines says it found a bullet hole in a flight from an international airport in Haiti after it landed in Miami on Monday. A Spirit Airlines plane was also hit by gunfire while attempting to land in Haiti's capital on Monday. It resulted in what the airline described as minor injuries to one crew member. Later, JetBlue said a post-flight inspection in New York found damage from a bullet on one of its planes returning from Haiti. Haitian authorities have already suspended flights in and out of Haiti's capital for a week. The Federal Aviation Administration issued a notice prohibiting U.S. civil aviation operations in Haiti below 10,000 feet for 30 days. And apparently, a high number of Netflix subscribers see nothing wrong with watching advertisements. It's the opposite of what the streaming service at one time marketed itself on. NTD Sean Marshall has more on this story.
Netflix's ad-supported tier has reached 70 million monthly active users globally, nearly doubling from about 6 months earlier as customers seek more affordable options. The plan, priced at $6.99 per month in the U.S., now accounts for more than half of all new Netflix sign-ups in regions where it is available. It reached 40 million global monthly active users in May. Netflix's cheapest plan without commercials costs $15.49 a month. The company once championed itself as an escape from TV with ads. Netflix only introduced commercials when it lost customers in 2022. The Netflix president of advertising stated in a blog on Tuesday that for the NFL Live Christmas Day games, Netflix has sold out of all available in-game inventory for the 2 live games. And Netflix has new partnerships with multiple advertisers, including FanDuel and Verizon. The upcoming season of Squid Game has brought in new partnerships too. South Korean automaker Kia has become Netflix's first single-title sponsorship in Korea. Netflix does not offer details on the ad-supported plan's financial performance and does not expect it to become a primary driver of growth until 2026. The tier has been priced the same since its launch in late 2022. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
All right, and real quick, markets, the Dow and the S&P 500 rose slightly today, and this comes after October data showed consumer prices rising in line with expectations. And of course, this is adding support to bets that the U.S. Federal Reserve will, in fact, cut interest rates in December. That's when their meeting is happening. So after the report, traders' bets reflected a more than 82% chance for about a 25 basis point interest rate reduction at the next meeting. Meanwhile, investors also are hopeful of a pro-business stance and possible tax cuts from the incoming U.S. president. All right, with that, everything on today's Business Matters. Back to you guys.
Thanks for all those stories, Don. Amazon Haul, it sounds almost like an online dollar store.
Yeah, I'm actually sort of looking forward to that. I'm curious to see what kind of products they have because, under $20, under $10, that's not very expensive. So I want to see the quality of these products. They're probably made in China is my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also the question of ethics behind it, right? Like the big problem that people have now with companies like Temu and Shein is those reported instances of forced labor, unfair wages. So I don't know where Amazon's going to be getting these products to be able to, make a profit but sell them at such a low cost.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, if it comes from the same source. I'm just speculating here, but, I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for all those stories today, Don. See you back tomorrow.
See you.
And coming up, a wildfire continues to rage on the East Coast, while significant progress being made in California with the Ventura County fire. Now more than halfway contained. Efforts are intensifying with both fires. Stay with us.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-624-6556 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-624-6556. 1-800-624-6556. Call now.
I'm Ilka. I live with my daughter and with my grandchildren. There's a sense of comfort that comes with eating a good meal. We try to make the most, of what we have. We have rent to pay, and then there are lights and there are gas. And while my daughter and I both work, it still just doesn't seem like there's enough to go around sometimes.
Every day, millions of our neighbors face hunger, including 1 in 5 children, and food costs keep rising. Please call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Your monthly support can fill plates with nutritious food for families across the country and in your community, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks and volunteers.
If you were over and playing with us, you were part of our family and you were going to eat. A real cook can take nothing and make something.
No one should ever have to wonder if they will have enough to eat, and our neighbors are working hard to feed their families every day. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger from coast to coast and in your own community. Use your credit card and you'll get this exclusive canvas grocery bag as a thank you for joining hands with people across America to help end hunger.
Some of the lessons that I hope that my family will take, it is important to treat people the way that you want to be treated. I have carried on the tradition of loving people through food.
Please call right now or go online to make a monthly gift at helpfeedingamerica.org. Your support helps our neighbors bring food home to their families.
Thanks for staying with us. President-elect Trump made his pick to head the Department of Homeland Security. If confirmed by the Senate, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem will oversee ICE and Border Patrol. NTD's data reporter Kevin Hogan is at the hub now with more on this. Kevin, why did Trump pick Noem, and how has the situation at the border changed under the Trump and Biden administrations?
Well, in selecting Governor Noem to head ICE and Border Patrol, former President Trump said that Noem is strong on the border, consistent with what he campaigned on. And also, if you remember earlier this year, South Dakota Governor Noem was one of the elected officials to visit the southwest border to show support for Texas in what has been called the border crisis. So we're going to look at some top line numbers to compare the situation at the border under the Trump and Biden administrations, and that's what you're looking at right here. So these are the total encounters at the U.S. southwest border under the Trump administration and Biden administrations. As you can see, under the Trump administration, about 2 million encounters were made at the southern border. Again, very tough on border security during that time. And then during the Biden administration, that number ballooned to about 8.4 million encounters. That's about a four-fold increase, and that's still in counting because, of course, the Biden administration is still ongoing. So we're going to take a look at a timeline to understand some of the surrounding events and context to get a little bit of an idea of where those numbers come from. And that's what you see right here. We're looking at the monthly encounters at the U.S. southwest border, according to data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So here you have encounters from anywhere from about 20,000 up to about 300,000 over time, and this is the Trump administration and the Biden administration. So right here, this is the Trump administration. This is the era of tough on the border, build the wall. He enacted the migrant protection protocols, also known as the Remain in Mexico policy over here. You see a very low number of encounters, relatively speaking, and then in the Biden administration, you see those encounters rate rises significantly with a very high ceiling here. That's a record number of encounters in December 2023. So this is the era in which many migrants viewed their chances at getting into the United States as a little bit higher, or very much higher, under the Biden administration compared to the Trump administration. So going chronologically here, we see that after the Remain in Mexico policy was enacted, then you see a spike. This could be a regional, this could be a seasonal spike in which all these tick marks are at January. So in the colder months, you see less encounters, whereas in the spring, you usually see a spike that's consistent with historical data predating the Trump administration. And at this time, that's about 130,000 encounters in that spring, the month of March in 2019. So then further than that, you see a drop off. And then right around now, this is where the pandemic hits. So that's right around March 2020. And then from there you see some movement. It caused a little bit more migration to happen. And then right after Biden gets in, you see that migration just continues to spike and more encounters at the U.S. southern border. At this time, that's right when Biden got in the office. He signed several executive orders in which he protected the migrants coming to this country. For example, expanding protecting the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, that's the DACA program, as well as limiting the Trump-era programs like the Remain in Mexico policy, as well as lifting some of the Trump-era travel bans that you see. But after that point, you see a spike here, right here in 2021, and at that time, FEMA was even deployed to help Border Patrol assist them in receiving the record numbers of unaccompanied minors that were coming to the border as well. And in places like Donna, Texas, the migrant facilities there were operating at about 7 times their capacity. And so you go on further in the Biden administration, and you see that these peaks are, about 200 and something thousand, and they're getting more and more each subsequent year in the spring, ultimately to arrive at a peak of the century, a record high of about 330,000 encounters at the southwest border, and that was in December 2023. That was around the time when a migrant caravan was making its way through Mexico, in which there were about 8,000 people trying to make it to the United States. Some activists put that number at about 10 to 15,000 when it was all done. And then afterwards, you see a dramatic drop shortly thereafter, and this when the House Republicans impeached DHS Secretary Mayorkas, and that continues to drop very low here, relatively speaking, from that peak. And that could be attributed to partly, according to the Washington Office on Latin America, to Mexico taking further steps to stem the flow of migration through its country. However, that organization says that may only be a temporary drop-off, and that is unsustainable. And data, according to them, shows that if nothing else changes, that rate could rebound back up to those high levels that we saw near the end of at this point in the Biden administration. So ultimately, you can see under the Trump administration, relatively low numbers of encounters at the border, whereas high numbers in the Biden administration. And at the rate that this is, in which migrants are coming into this country, there are concerns, according to the Center for Security Policy, or Center for Immigration Studies, that the migrants are actually costing the American taxpayers quite a few dollars, to the tune of about $48 billion a year because they are taking part in the welfare programs and they have many family members that also utilize these. And while these illegal immigrants are beefing up the GDP of the nation, and while they are paying some taxes, it's not enough to offset the cost, that fiscal drain that they're putting on the national treasure of this country. So that's a recap of how the Trump administration and Biden administrations oversaw the border and what was happening there. And it remains to be seen how the second and final Trump administration will handle the border situation, as well as what will happen to the illegal immigrants that are currently in the country today. Back to you.
Thank you, Kevin, for that very detailed breakdown. Moving on now, firefighters are making steady progress on the Jennings Creek wildfire along the New Jersey and New York border. The blaze is now 30% contained.
Meanwhile, the mountain fire in Ventura County, California is now more than 50% contained, with many residents able to return to their homes. NTD's Christina Corona brings us the latest.
Officials from both states reported Wednesday that over 4,000 acres are burning, including 2,100 acres in New York and almost 2,300 in New Jersey. Fire officials provided an update on progress in containing the blaze.
Firefighting has been extremely difficult. Again, it's steep. We're in very steep, rugged terrain. Fire crews are going in there and attacking it by ground transport. So pretty much they're hiking their way in, and there's really no easy access. They're carrying all their equipment, tools, no real bulldozers.
He reports that wind gusts have been rising to speeds of 35 to 40 miles per hour.
So that is hampering our efforts to do significant suppression. So that's why we're not going super interior to attack the fire. However, we are in a place where we are actively engaging the fire. And right now, all our tactics seem to be holding the line here in New Jersey.
Franek says they're using satellite imagery, air surveillance, and on-ground surveys to map the fire more accurately, coordinating closely between the two states. On Tuesday, New York Governor Kathy Hochul announced a burn ban in the state, citing the need to focus on major fires. In California, the mountain fire has burned 20,630 acres and is now 60% contained. Currently, around 1,900 personnel are assigned to the incident, and many residents are now returning to their homes. Officials remind residents that crews will continue to be present in the area.
Crews will be in there today, gridding, patrolling, and communicating with the public as we move into the recovery phase.
Officials say warmer, drier conditions are expected Wednesday, with northeast winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Disruptions to Amtrak service on the Northeast Corridor continue today following a fire near a track in the Bronx.
Yes, that's right. Utility company Con Edison said the blaze broke out yesterday afternoon while Amtrak employees were working on high voltage equipment. Service between New York and New Haven, Connecticut was suspended. Those passengers were advised to take Metro North. There were also delays between New York and Washington, D.C., as well as between Boston and New Haven.
Yesterday's fire spread to a nearby warehouse and to a Con Edison substation parking lot. A spokesperson said that the blaze damaged 3 vehicles. Railroad officials said last night that they expected normal service to resume this afternoon. A company says 2 employees died in an explosion at a Louisville, Kentucky factory yesterday afternoon.
The explosion caused a partial collapse of the building and blew out windows in nearby homes and businesses. This led to an hours-long search for the victims.
This is an incredibly sad and tragic incident. These 2 individuals who have passed went into their job in an ordinary day to provide for their family when the unthinkable happened.
When you're dealing with a large explosion like this and such a massive amount of destruction, it's going to be difficult. But again, our people are experts in this. We have the assistance of the ATF.
And so we don't have any reason to believe at this moment that there's any type of nefarious activity. But again, we want to make sure that we have a thorough investigation and we'll find out what the actual cause was.
Now, the Louisville mayor said firefighters rescued and evacuated many people from the building. This included some with life-threatening injuries.
He also said officials have accounted for everyone who was working at the plant at the time. 10 people were injured, and the cause is now being investigated. President Biden is set to meet the head of the Chinese Communist Party, Xi, on Saturday during an international summit in Peru. The meeting comes as Beijing prepares for Trump's return to the White House. A senior Biden administration official confirmed the plans for the meeting. It'll take place during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Lima. This is just over 2 months before Trump's inauguration. The official did not say how Biden and his advisors would respond to questions from the regime's leaders about the incoming Trump administration. And it is also unclear if Biden will discuss U.S.-China relations with Trump during his visit to the White House today.
A new report highlights transnational repression by the Hong Kong government with a particular focus on digital rights. Recent laws in the region have severely restricted Hong Kongers with an impact that reaches far beyond its borders. NTD's international correspondent Malcolm Hudson has more from London.
Digital communications have played a key part of the Hong Kong pro-democracy movement, notably to share information between activists during the 2019 protests. But as human rights have declined in the region, so too has freedom of speech declined online, even going so far as arrests for simple Facebook posts made while Hong Kongers were abroad. A report published by Hong Kong Watch, titled Invisible Decline, looked at the impact of transnational repression and threats to digital rights. Hong Kong Watch co-founder Benedict Rogers said people are extremely cautious about what they post online.
As we know, the crackdown in Hong Kong has dismantled pretty much all of Hong Kong's freedoms, but what we don't hear enough about is the impact on digital rights. And basically the crackdown on in the digital space is very serious indeed.
23-year-old student Mika Yuan Qingting was arrested after returning to Hong Kong from studying in Japan. During her time in Japan, she made a number of social media posts which the Hong Kong police force described as inciting Hong Kong independence. She was prosecuted under the 2020 national security law and sentenced to 2 months in prison. The report said Yuan's case sent shockwaves and led many people to close social media accounts and self-censor for fear of repercussions, and not just for themselves.
There's a real risk that if somebody who's outside Hong Kong puts something in the digital sphere that the authorities don't like, that can have repercussions for their family members back home who may experience harassment, intimidation, or worse.
There have also been rulings that impact international digital companies. The Hong Kong Justice Department banned the popular pro-democracy anthem Glory to Hong Kong. Following a legal battle, in May this year the song was removed from streaming platforms Spotify and Apple Music. Not just in Hong Kong, but everywhere across the world, despite the song only being banned in Hong Kong. These are 2 examples, but they highlight how the ability to peacefully criticize the Hong Kong government has been repressed on a transnational level. The report makes policy recommendations.
One of the major recommendations is to hold the technology companies accountable, so where they do comply or cave into pressure to restrict digital rights.
He said companies should be called into Parliament in the UK, Congress in the US, or other similar institutions in other nations so that the companies explain themselves to governments. Rogers added that targeted sanctions should be imposed on Hong Kong officials who infringe upon the freedoms of Hong Kongers. And the report also recommends to improve social media safeguards to ensure these platforms are not used for transnational repression. Malcolm Hudson, NTD News, London.
The island nation of Palau re-elected President Surangle Whips Jr. for a second term. The election was held the same day as the U.S. election. The final vote tally in the small nation showed that Whips Jr. gained more votes than his brother-in-law. Palau is important to the U.S. military amid tensions with China, and it is also among the dozen or so diplomatic allies of Taiwan. He says his government will seek to diversify Palau's economy while protecting its ocean and forests. Palau this year renewed a new deal with Washington that will see it receive $890 million in economic assistance over 20 years. In return, Palau must continue to allow U.S. military access to its maritime zone, airspace, and land. Palau's population of 18,000 is spread across an archipelago that sits between the Philippines and the U.S. military base on Guam. Taiwan's president earlier congratulated Whips Jr. via social media, saying there would be greater collaboration in tourism and infrastructure.
And when we come back, the most expensive baseball ever sold at auction.
That's right, Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani's historic 50th home run ball is now on display in Taiwan. Stay tuned for that story.
A performance that truly matters for each and every one of us. This is what you've been waiting for. See it at least once in your lifetime. Shen Yun. Get tickets now at shenyun.com. According to ancient Chinese medicine, purslane is considered a medicinal herb and is used to help lower cholesterol, improve vascular functions, and prevent diabetes. Perilla seeds can nourish the lungs and spleen. It is used to treat asthma and improve pulmonary functions. Puritang green vegetable omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds from Hwangmae Mountain in South Korea. It contains over 90% of omega-3, 6, 7, and 9. The highest concentration possible without chemical additives. The soft gel is made of natural seaweed. It is 100% organic and vegan. Both adults and children can take it with peace of mind. Ancient recipes were passed down from heaven to bring prosperity and longevity. Puritang green vegetable omega-3. Looking for a healthy and smooth-tasting brew? Drop by Days Coffee Roasters today and explore our wide selection of specialty-grade, small-batch roasted coffee. Home to North America's first enzyme-fermented coffee, we source a wide selection of specialty-grade coffee beans from around the world, and our baristas are ready to craft your customized brew. Visit Days Coffee at 28 North Street, Middletown, New York. Come experience a brew like no other.
The Kindness is Cool Video Awards are back for their second year. Record and nominate acts of kindness, both big and small, from individuals, families, and communities. Submit your videos on ganjingworld.com with the hashtag KindnessIsCool. Win a $10,000 grand prize and be featured on a New York Times Square billboard. Visit ganjingworld.com and start sharing today. Kindness is cool.
Welcome back. The historic 50th home run ball hit by baseball superstar Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers was unveiled today. It was displayed for public viewing at Taiwan's landmark Taipei 101 Tower.
This ball marks a significant milestone in baseball history. Ohtani stands alone as the only player to achieve 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a single season. He reached the milestone on September 19th this year. The ball was sold at a recent auction for a record-breaking amount of nearly $4.4 million. It is now the most expensive baseball ever sold at auction.
I hope that the exhibition of Shohei Ohtani's 50th home run ball can bring more dreams and hopes to children in Taiwan. I hope that this commemorative ball would be able to expand future exchanges between Japan and Taiwan.
The exhibition was made possible by Taipei 101.
I hope this historic ball can create more opportunities for exchanges between Taiwan and Japan and allow all baseball-loving fans around the world to come to Taipei 101 Tower in Taiwan to see this exhibition.
The display has attracted visitors from across the world.
Just came here by chance. I was actually showing my mom around Taipei this week, and so today was her last day in Taiwan, and I was like, we gotta go to Taipei 101. Had no idea this was gonna happen, and just kind of stumbled upon it. And it's really kind of amazing because we're both from California.
I am really happy to see this historic ball in Taiwan.
Although it is just a ball, its existence has great significance to me. But I think Shohei's health is the most important thing.
Ohtani's 50th home run ball will be on display at the Taipei 101 Tower through March next year. It offers baseball fans and visitors an opportunity to witness a piece of sports history.
And on to the UK now, where London's East End is seeking protected status for its favorite dish. Some locals call it the original fast food, and NTD's Andrew Thomas has more.
This piping hot pie and mash is a staple of London's East End. The signature dish consists of a minced beef pie with pastry, mashed potatoes, and a green parsley sauce known as liquor. Conservative Member of Parliament Richard Holden is trying to get protected status for the meal.
This is actually about celebrating something which is actually quite popular. What I want to do, though, is make sure that actually there's a real recognition for it, because it's an artisan product.
If traditional specialty guaranteed status is approved, the next step is agreement on a standard recipe. Regular spot checks for taste and appearance would be required as well. At this cafe in London's East End, pie and mash has plenty of fans.
Twice a week we come.
You never get bored of it?
No, I'd come every day if I could.
We have babies in here and they actually wean the children on mash and liquor. So I do think it's something you're brought up on.
Pie and mash was first served in the East End over 150 years ago. Food writer Josh Berry says the dish is central to the East End culture.
It's an identity thing with London because in Cornwall you've got Cornish pasties, in Bury you've got black pudding, and so it's something to celebrate in London, I think, pie.
If pie and mash wins protected status, the dish could draw attention beyond London's East End. No matter what, the comfort food will continue to be beloved by locals. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And the title of the next Mission Impossible movie certainly sounds like it's the final film in the franchise. Could this be Tom Cruise's final turn as Ethan Hunt? If it is, you know he's going to go out with a bang.
Our lives are not defined by any one action. Our lives are the sum of our choices. Everything you are, everything you've done, has come to this.
Actor-producer Tom Cruise returns as spy Ethan Hunt in the action-packed film, seen running through the streets of London, engaged in a knife fight, and hanging off a plane.
The film also features returning actors Angela Bassett, Haley Atwell, and Simon Pegg. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning begins its global launch from May 23rd.
You've always been on the right side, brother. I have no regrets. Neither should you.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Well, I can't wait to see that in theaters. And with that, thank you for watching NTD Newsroom today.
Please join Tiffany Meyer for the NTD Evening News at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. I am Carrie Dunst.
And I am Fiona G.